straight. Hello, everyone. I'm practicing sitting up straight. I'm Brent. It is actually a little bit more of a favorite night for me because it's not all Hold'em all the time tonight. Right. A little bit of PLO to mix it up, which I'm very excited about. And I don't know if you guys know Masta from the chat.
How's it going, everybody?
And from the stream. That's and right. From the booth occasionally, but he's in here all the time for the next 3 hours. What's up?
Man, just hanging out, excited to be here. I was already watching some of this game, and they came out right off the gun just blasting. Just dropping $500 pots left and right. So if they don't need any time to warm up, I think we have about 3 hours.
We're going to start like
mayhem.
On fire. Right. Nice. We didn't get any notice that we're like needing to slow down, so I think we should introduce you to the people who are playing. C1, you've seen her a few times on the stream. Looks like she's ordering some food. Sally.
Yeah.
Sally's great.
And played with Sally on Last Veronica and Friends, the 08
okay,
game.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, she had a couple of champagnes and some drinks. And
yeah, that's why I was
quite a bit of fun.
You know we can't drink in the booth, right? Okay,
right.
Just checking, because I heard stories from Veronica. But yeah, Sally's solid. Brandon G. I think he's a geologist.
Yep, so he seems like he'd be another good player, ready to mix it up. You know, him and Spencer, in basically the second hand, already had mixed it up before the streaming. So,
nice.
He's definitely not one that's going to be afraid to play some pots.
Cool. And then Ozzy, who I was remarking, I normally see him come in and fill the seats once the stream is over. I think I might have been in the booth one time for his stream, but this should be fun to watch.
Yeah, and I've played with him a few times on different streams. I think by now most of the viewers know him pretty well. Really good thinking player. It's always fun to watch him. He's capable of making a lot of moves, some very thin value bets. So he's definitely a fan favorite.
There was a Twitter poll, or like some local stack players were talking about their list of like top 5 grinders, and he showed up on a few people's list of like cash game grinders. So it should be exciting. And next up we have Ryan L. He's been on the stream a couple times. I think he's only really been on the stream for PLO type games.
My understanding he's more of a PLO player as opposed to Nullum and Hold'em. I don't really have too much information about him. Talked to a couple people. They seem to respect his game.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what he brings to the table.
Pretty solid player. Next up, we have Mason. Mason. That's what it says here. Mason. The Grim Reaper, apparently. I wonder if he drew that photo or if that's a drawing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or painting. But what's up, racing guy? We got Arthur. Arthur was on the stream like a week ago. He's been on it a couple times.
Yeah, and I haven't actually seen him play, so it's another person I'm excited to see, kind of what he's going to bring to the table.
Yeah, he seems like a fun guy. I met him a couple times. But very exciting. Then we have anime GRZ. Did you say that Grizz or is it GRZ? You can pick.
Let's say GRZ.
GRZ sounds like a cooler name, I think.
Right.
GRZ, and then the final seat, Greg C. I know Greg. I've played with him at like Run It Up events in Reno and stuff. I'm sure people have seen him around playing tournaments in the Northern California, Northern Nevada. He did paint it. Nice.
And just watching him, he seems like a guy that's going to be very in tune to the game. There's a lot of people you see, they have their phones out, they can kind of be distracted. He seems like someone that's going to be constantly watching the action, so when you're watching the action, you're gonna get those little bits of showdown value where you're getting that bit of information to really piece together what someone's trying to do. So I kind of look forward to him making some moves a little earlier than maybe some of the other people. Maybe like the hour mark, you might see him run like a good bluff. I think he'll build a good image.
Should be exciting. I'm actually curious if in the mix they're going to run the bomb pots as whatever game they're playing.
Right.
Because I think one of the biggest pots I've ever won at Stones was a bomb pot PLO.
Yeah.
And so it was nothing like the Harlan bomb pot, but nobody wins bomb pots. Someone wins bomb pots.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we're here. It's 5-5. It's Hold'em and Omaha mixed. Pot limit Omaha high mixed. Bomb pot will always be PLO. All right, that's the only way to do a bomb pot. Well, I mean, it's not the only way, obviously, but it's pretty exciting. Yeah, so Jenna Liz says that he painted that photo. That's pretty awesome.
Nice.
So it's nice when people are multi-talented.
For sure, for sure.
I mean, sure, be good at poker. What else you got? Can you dance? Can you paint?
Something. And then, so basically, we're going to do 1 round of No Limit Hold'em, 1 round of Omaha. So once the button goes to seat 1, it will trigger the change to the next game.
And the clipboard says we're starting on Omahizzle. So I decided to share that with you. Yeah, so every time Sally gets the button, it's going to be a new game. They may have, it looks like Sally has the button. So we might have talked through all of, although I don't know that they would have just like folded through all those Omaha hands that quickly.
No, that Omaha will take a while to play out.
So my guess is that we're starting, yeah, by the way, this is your jam. Well, maybe not Omaha, right? But Veronica and Friends.
Yep.
Sounds like a blast. I'd like to play on that game sometime. I asked Veronica. She seemed indifferent.
The best way to do it is to just bring wine and then more wine. So you just
bribe her with
some
wine
champagne.
and then I'm in. Yeah.
Right, and then all of a sudden you get the invites whenever you want.
Yeah, if you're watching, Veronica, I'll bring wine. Got some homies in the chat. Where it's hot as for, you know,
she needs a day off. She needs a night off.
My Veronica tracker on, but yeah, I think Masta C is, you know, just as attractive, just as hot.
Absolutely. Personality might be just a little bit less, but yeah, absolutely.
So, all right, so PLO, I'm stoked.
Yeah, me too. It looks like we're starting to get ready to jump right in here.
Mason has 4 gray cards. Looks like a great hand.
There we go.
Arthur has a very similar hand.
All right, so Mason with the king.
Okay, so Mason opened with the kings. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. Okay hand. I mean, I personally think if you're playing kings, like just kings, which I guess it's not just kings. He does have a suited king. But, you know, you never have, like, the nuts.
Right.
It's rough sometimes.
You know, the other thing is, you know, so you start thinking about, you know, so if you do want to play it, like, how do you want to play this? Are you trying to come in for a limp? Are you trying to, like, just open small to prevent, like, someone kind of repotting behind you? You know, because it depends on also the aggressiveness of the players behind you.
Yeah. He potted to open, and a bunch of people called behind. Oz gets a really, really pretty solid hand. I mean, the 5 of clubs is kind of a dud, but the rest of the hand's looking pretty good.
And he's also happy, you know, if he just takes this down. You know, he knows he has the ace, you know, for the blockers, the aces. You know, he has the queens, and then he's not stoked about his third club, but, you know, I think he'd probably be okay taking it down here, too.
Yeah, I kind of think Mason, I mean, you definitely don't want to fold here, but this is the kind of thing, like, I think if you're playing kings like this, you probably want to play kings fast, but it worked out. Wow.
This is an action flop.
Holy crap. So he gets a set, but the one king he doesn't want to hit. Like, there's not a situation where Oz is ever going to fold on this flop, in case that wasn't already obvious.
Right. Mason has, looks like 5, close to 1,000 left.
Just a check call. Ooh, even like another kind of good card. This might be a weird spot if he, like a check raise type spot.
Right.
For Oz, if he's wanting to be like really aggressive. Although, I mean, he probably like his check raise is only because he has outs, not really like.
Right.
Yeah. But if he checks and Mason bets pot again, or anywhere near pot, I don't know.
It's going to be hard to continue at that point.
He still might be able to peel off. I wonder. It looks like he's going to bet. It's
about
400?
300? 400.
That could also be maybe he really wants to see the river, and he doesn't want to give Mason a chance to like bet more than 400.
Sure.
400 that seemed like kind of a big bet, but it is not an easy board for Mason to raise into him.
Right. Well, especially now, look, so it has about 1,100 left, it looks like. You know, I mean, any raising is just going to be, you know, committing your stack at this point. So it's actually kind of nice sizing by Ozzy as well.
It's weird, though, because, like, if he comes over the top, he can't really fold.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So maybe he's decided, regardless, we're seeing the river.
And bricks out. You know, one of the things you want to do when you're playing is try to bet an amount that's going to be small enough to still threaten the other person's stack to where they don't really have any good options. You know, so if they're going to raise, they just have to basically shove at that point.
I like it.
Oh, now Ozzy does rip.
I actually figured, I thought he was going to do that. It's a scary board, and maybe he thinks when... Wow.
Especially backdoor spades get there.
Yeah, see, that's
Queen
part of
tens there.
Man, I mean, that's part of the reason why if you're going to play kings without any real redraw,
Right.
you might want to play them pretty fast, try to get it all in free, and flip. I mean, you're kind of flipping.
Right.
In fact, you're in a pretty good spot when you're against ace, queen, queen. You just have to dodge an ace. I don't know. But, yeah. I think you want to fast play kings if you're out of position.
Right.
And you've decided you're going to play them. What's weird is PLO, you can, if you're in early position, you can totally fold a hand like that.
Right.
And I don't think you're losing a lot of value.
No, and I think you're just, especially that kind of hand is just, unless you're hitting your set, you know, you just, like, what are you going to do? Just play kings for kings alone? It's going to be really difficult for you to ever show down, you know, a winning hand.
Yeah, it's tough. And then the board runs out with a potential Broadway and a flush. It's just so, it's unfortunate. But I mean, that the way that hand played out definitely makes an argument for just like open folding kings and PLO when they're not really paired with anything else.
Right.
You don't have any even really potential for redraws or anything like that.
So then here's Arthur coming in with Jack 554, open limping, which again, I mean, this is kind of just another situation where you're not really, you're kind of putting yourself at a disadvantage. You got a lot of aggressive players, so it's unlikely that you're going to see the flop for just the 5. So what are you going to do? Just put in 5 and then call, you know, somebody's pot at that point? And even...
Well, it's not it doesn't look like a hand I would really want to limp call with.
No.
But occasionally at these tables, people get in this habit of like limping and limping behind, and you end up being able to see a lot of flops for $5. But then, I mean, it's a situation where you get yourself into trouble.
Right.
If you even like a set of 5s isn't going to really feel super great all the time.
I mean, how often, you know, so especially you start thinking about, okay, hands that are over limping, there's going to be a lot of like pocket pairs there. So there's going to be a lot of, you know, higher pocket pairs that are limping over you. So now you're going to get oversetted a lot. So what's the point of making your set if you still can't bet for, you know, for good value?
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, you can make a good hand. Yeah, you can win. But you also need that like ability to know that you have the best hand, so you can start to extract the maximum value for sure. A lot of people, I think you just think as far as, oh, wow. So hold on, he flops a set, turns a boat, and then gets rivered.
Gets counterfeit.
Yeah, not often your boat gets counterfeited. It would have been really, I mean, that's a tough board for Sally to bet. She did bet the turn. In such a small pot, I think I would bet aces there. He did call the turn.
Right.
So I guess he could have quads.
Yeah, I mean, and you're only losing, you know, to quads and pocket kings, and neither seem super likely.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have kings in the small blind there and not raise when she pots pre.
Right.
Because exactly like, you know, unless it's like king, ace 10 double suited, then you're like, you're not really to the seat for. Why is he so biased to the seat for? I don't even know. Have we even talked about Ryan at all?
Not yet. So maybe that's why you're biased.
Oh yeah,
we
Ryan.
haven't talked about him
great.
enough yet.
I know that he probably lost some hands early on because I highly doubt he bought in for 300. So my guess is so far it hasn't really been going too good for him. But
you know, at the same time, like, so I don't know, you know, how familiar he is to these players, but it's also okay to just hold off on a rebuy to give you a moment to kind of see what people are doing, you know, see what people's kind of strategies are, and then you can go, oh, well, just because that guy has the big stack, maybe I don't want to, you know, buy into his amount if he's the like best player at the table.
Yeah.
You know,
there is a lot of thinking, or at least like I've seen a few things about short buying in situations like this. You're going to get isolated often, so you're really going to play for like your stack against one other hand and a lot of dead money. Yeah, no, it's there you go. Groove is basically saying that something along those lines. You just play. It's easy for you to get your whole stack in, and often, especially at a table full of aggressive players, you know,
you're going to get it in with a huge equity edge. Well, just because I mean, by the nature of short stacking, you know, you can't really play a ton of hands, you know, so just your range is going to be much stronger than pretty much everybody else's, especially when the money's going in.
Here's a good spot. Ozzy only has ace king. In a missed flush draw, and Ryan bets half of his remaining stack and takes down the pot. And that's a situation too where Ozzy knows, like, if he raises, he's gonna get called because, I mean, Ryan's basically left himself no chance, no choice.
Yeah, there's no fold equity there. It's just purely your ace king's a bluff catcher at that point. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, probably one of your best bluff catchers you can have, like, that gets to the river there.
For sure, right? If you're calling the river, you don't want to be calling with less than ace king there. If you're calling with less than ace king there, then it's probably a losing proposition for sure. Ryan's going to do that a lot, I think.
So we got Grooves in the chat hanging out with us. My name ain't Earl. Got Downswing. Earth Brooks. What's going on, guys?
Yeah, it's one of the things. Well, position is super important. I think acting first in PLO sometimes is not necessarily a point of like advantage, but it allows you to do things like that, like lead into boards that are not great boards. You know, very like a lot of. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Actually, like
I feel like a lot of PLO, from early position does give you a lot of opportunity to check raise pot, with like a lot of your semi bluffs, to where you do kind of put pressure on, on the people behind you. At that point, because it's like the pot's going to grow so big that now, like, if they call that check raise pot, then you're facing a turn barrel of probably a pot,
right?
And then if that's not enough to get it in, the river's going to get it in. So, it does, you can really put pressure on them early on when you a lot of times don't do that in other games.
This hand looks pretty passive so far. One of the things I don't like usually about limping in PLO is if everybody's limping for $20, $5 or whatever, then the pot's only 20. If everybody's checking like a really draw heavy flop, then the biggest bet you're getting on the turn is 20, and then suddenly the pot's only 80 on the river, and it's like one guy's gonna bet the pot for 80, and it's not really needed to be a huge pot.
Right.
I think it'll be interesting because I don't know how good each of these guys are at each game individually, at how comfortable they are. I think sometimes people who really like PLO might play a game like this because they feel relatively comfortable in Hold'em, but like maybe that they have an edge in PLO. So I'm sure we have at least a couple of guys who are in that realm. And then you just got no limit grinders who know that there's those guys in the game that want to
right.
play big no-limit pots against guys who are predominantly PLO players.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and this is, gives a nice mix, So obviously the people that are proficient in both games are going to have the best advantage, because now they're not really having to take any game type off.
Right.
But, someone who's, like you're saying, a primary no limit hold'em player can now also come and get half of the hands against maybe some competition that, they have an edge over in one game, and then just hope that they make more in their game variant than they lose in the other game variant.
Yeah. I will say it's just a matter of, I'm trying to think of the word. I can't think. Like courtesy. If you're gonna play a mixed game, don't sit games out.
Correct. You're at the table.
If you're gonna volunteer, a lot of people would be very vocal and let you know that that's just not cool.
Yep.
But I know there's a few games I played in a few where there's like 17 games, and it's like, if there's like one game you don't want to play, you might have the ability to take that game out of the mix. But if you're playing the game, you're expected to play it well.
I mean, it's just better, just to play a super nitty style if you don't know the game. That way, because part of poker is you do want to create a good table dynamic, because a fun table that's talking and laughing is going to be the table that is, people are splashing money around you. They're not trying to play the best.
Yeah.
So if you're taking yourself out of that game, people are going to have a little bit of resentment, and that's just going to break down, how much fun people are having, because now they're not thinking of just talking, they just have that resentment. It just kind of kills a lot of the action. So if you're not comfortable with how to play one of the games, just play it really nittily, just fold everything, and just kind of pick it up as you go.
Super nitty is always right. Yeah. I think, I've talked to a few people that play like high stakes cash, and there's a lot of businessmen who aren't necessarily pro grinders, but the way those guys keep those guys in the game is if they're having a good time. You know, they don't mind dropping, 50, 60 buy-ins if they're just like having a good time and having fun.
They're coming here for entertainment. So, and so all you got to do is just sit there and talk with people and BS, and it's not even like you need to try that hard. It's just you have a normal conversation with people.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, I think, how many how many people don't talk, and then almost like how many people would be willing to talk.
Right.
Yeah. Because you're sitting there for hours, right?
Yep.
Like one of the best times that I played one World Series event, and day one, like 6 of the 8 people at our table were the same people all day. And we were just having a blast.
Right.
Like the whole day. I'm still friends with people from that table,
You meet a lot of great people. And then also, you have so many different people from different walks of life that come and play poker that, you can actually get a lot of real life benefit from talking with people. Whether say you own a house, you need contractors play all the time. You might get a good price, or you might get, legal advice or something, or, or a doctor's there, you can ask them a question. There's so many people that, have varying backgrounds that you are actually losing life experience by, kind of crawling into your shell.
It's that friend equity you get from being a talkative player at the table.
Absolutely. All right, so it looks like we got Sally and Arthur going to the flop.
Doogie Kings right here.
And then Mason with the...
Never mind, Sally just showed up. Yeah, Sally's flops 2 pair. Probably not what she was hoping would go down on this hand. But she did limp, so she's not going to lose a ton of... Well, I guess she limp called a raise, though. How is there that much money in the pot? Limp, Mason makes a 25, she called. Okay.
So this is interesting. It's difficult. Sure, you flop 2 pair, but you kind of start looking at the board and how it's likely going to run out. You don't have a flush draw, so you're just hoping to fill up. Almost every card is going to be bad for you. It's going to bring a straight draw one way or another. Third of the deck's going to complete, or fourth of the deck's going to complete the flush. You don't have clubs as backups, so it's just...
Yeah, sometimes I think people get into the habit in Omaha when if you flop 2 pair, you peel 1 and then you fold.
Yeah,
which
it's just bottom
heads up
two
might not
is
be great.
yeah, bottom two is going to be real difficult for you to continue, especially when it's kind of too low bottom two. You know, there's just going to be so many overcards to come that are going to even counterfeit your, you know, your two.
Yeah, it could have been interesting to see, like, if she has the king or the king of diamonds is on there. Then you have some moves you can make
Right.
where you're like semi-buffing a better flush with a some outs to boat if you need him in, like for a showdown and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean RFID is an inexact science, right, guys? Like there's a spot on the table that reads the cards.
Right.
Sometimes they don't leave them there long enough. Sometimes,
especially with the 4 cards, I mean you got to kind of get them on there just right. You know, you'll see they'll start spreading the cards out. And that seems to be a pretty effective way of getting, you know, all them to read. Sometimes you do the 2 and 2, you know, like one card on top of the other, but even then it seems to have a little more difficulty picking up cards that way sometimes.
So Brandon limps. It's not a, it's a fine hand. I don't know, you're not super excited about playing it for a bunch of money, but in cash,
Yeah, I mean,
if they're gonna let you see a flop for $5,
and
I won't say I hate limping it.
right, you could say ace 7, 7-4, whatever, but it is double suited. You do have, the ace suited, which is nice, so it does give you some options, especially for a like if you could limp in or maybe even just call up to 20 kind of a thing.
Yeah, you are blocking some of the middle straights, those kinds of things, like depending on the board. Obviously, you need a very specific board for that hand.
Right.
It looks like Ryan made it 25, GRZ made it 85. So we're not even going to see if ace 7, 7-4 is going to hit this board. I think it would not have hit this. I guess technically you would have had a gutter.
Right.
But
I mean,
you
do block, like the nuts for the nut straight at this time.
Oh, for sure. Ryan, we're not seeing his cards now, but I'm pretty sure he has the
did
nut
pot
diamonds.
Call. So if he does have nut diamond, I mean, he has a lot of overpairs in his range.
Yeah, he had ace, king,
right,
7.
so we're probably looking like king versus ace.
So he's also blocking the straight.
So
yeah,
he's got nut flush draw.
I don't know the other cards. We haven't even seen GRZ's card yet. Okay, well, he makes a flush.
And we'll see if they're running it twice or if
I
it's just
think
the
they're
once.
running it more than once. Maybe not. Oh, so he had ace to 7 with king, queen of spades, which is a pretty good hand. Obviously, the 7's like dud-ish, but it's suited to the ace.
Correct.
You don't need it. They are running it twice. I'm not really sure what he has to dodge. In that case, all he has is a pair of 7s.
We're probably getting a chop pot here.
Let's see. Yeah, I still haven't seen Jared's hand. So
Yeah, unless he has like 4 or 5 or something.
it looks like
that.
he's chopping it up, though. So
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing 7 is going to win on that board.
Right.
My guess is Jersey has some kind of overpair.
And he did put in the 3-bet pre-flop, so
Oh, it looked like he had ace, queen of spades.
maybe 2 aces there.
Oh, okay. Cool. With another ace. Cool. All right, well, I mean, it was fun. Nice flop, I guess. He has backdoor spades with aces on a relatively weak board. Like, you would hope that somebody's not calling your $85 3-bet pre with, 6-8 deuce, some combination of of that. So that's pretty reasonable. If you're gonna get all in with aces, at least you didn't lose your money.
Yeah, and you're always okay with doing that against a short stack. Because you know that he's probably going to shove the jacks there in that spot too.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, overpair with the flush draw, even if it's not the nut flush draw.
Right.
Those are all kinds of spots.
You're not just dead there. Oh, looks like Groove needs to take the caps lock off.
Man, Moobot's at it again.
Man, he is relentless.
The biggest troll in the chat is Moobot,
Oh, yeah.
I think. He's just muted. Boom.
Moobot and I just don't get along at all.
It's like, Moobot, how am I supposed to express excitement if I'm not using several emotes and all caps? This is,
Always warning me about my language. And,
right.
I feel cursing is just the spice of language. It just.
Alright. Yeah, well, we want to keep our 8 to 14-year-old audience tuned in as often as possible. You know, I'm not really sure why. Future gamblers, right? Future poker players.
You got it. I mean, they're the ones watching, you know, for hours at a time.
So it looks like a lot of players are playing this hand.
Right, we got a lot of clubs out there.
Arthur
and
Fox
Brandon
the
both
nut
flop.
flush. Wow.
Now, I don't know how I feel this multi-way if I'm Arthur in late position about not putting a bet. The pot's not very big.
Yeah, I think you bet.
You know,
people
you
will
should.
peel pretty light here.
But you're going to get called from 2 pair. You're going to get called, you know, from pocket 8s, pocket 9s, you know, any ace 8, ace 9. Like, they're all going to call. So you're going to lose value against those hands by checking.
Yeah, now you're only going to get like 55. He'll get called here, almost for sure. The way the action went, you check call pretty much every flush you have, I think, if you're Brandon. Even, I mean, it's not a great flush. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's going to save himself $50. I'm not really sure why he called the turn. If he was going to... Wait, did he call the turn? Oh, it was only 15 on the turn.
Right, yeah.
So never mind. I guess he just decided 50 was just too much.
And then here, so just think about it. So even if everything plays out exactly the same, you know, so say they bet the flop, you know, turn, and Brandon decides to just bet fold the river. That bet fold, instead of being 5, is going to be at least 30.
Right, like
you know,
he
so
might
just,
bluff at something.
Right, so you start
pot's-
seeing how a decision not to bet starts to, you know, kind of compound on itself, you know, about all the value lost over multiple streets.
Oftentimes, I think people are so in the habit of trying to be tricky. That's why I think like a very obvious line with this hand is check, you know, checking all the flop, and then, you know, like if it checks you again on the button, betting.
Right.
He bet not very much.
And one of the things people are trying to, when they're trying to be sneaky, is they're hoping someone else is going to bet. But you're late position. You have one person left behind you who's betting. You know, you've kind of missed your opportunity.
Sometimes the best way to incite action is to bet.
Yep.
Instead, maybe try to make it look like you're bluffing.
Right.
You know, I had a situation in a PLO hand where I had a wheel or something with like a nut flush redraw. And this guy bet into me, and I just like went nuts. I potted, and he was like, he folded, but like 2 seconds later, he was like, "Man, you never would have done that with a wheel. Like, that's what I should have called."
Yep.
Obviously, you know, that's being specifically results oriented, but sometimes like if it feels like a really big hand, it often is a really big hand. So if you make it seem, you know, that's where you can get a little creative.
And we're back to 2-card pot limit
this is
hold'em.
boring. I'm gonna go to sleep for about 10 minutes. Take it away.
All right. Alright, so let's see here. So Ozzy, do you bet on the flop?
Check called flop. That's racist against caps? You mean like
Any queen, any 8 is good for Greg.
Fontist? It's a nice brick. So Greg gives up. Please keep your fan. Not pass go.
It's also interesting to see how people are going to adjust from game to game. You know, because PLO is a game where people do play more hands.
No, for sure.
You know, so it's interesting to see if they're just going to be kind of in the flow of playing hands. You're going to start seeing
maybe like limping under the gun kind of thing. Like, we're doing that for so many of these PLO hands. Or are we going to do that for the no limit holding hands too? Yeah.
If anybody has Ozzy's number, they should text him about the salad stream run good, not the pizza stream run good.
I'm not sure. There's no verifiable evidence about the pizza stream run good.
No, I mean...
There's only good evidence about the salad.
And it's about 100%, too.
Oh.
I mean, my life
it's
changed
actually
dramatically.
110%.
Right.
It's
if
the
you
biggest
get croutons.
guarantee.
If you get croutons.
Yeah, sure. Just spice it up a little bit. So Oz has the biggest stack. It's a little bit under 3K. Ryan's still short with about 300, but it's only 5.5, so 300 is still plenty of chips.
Right. I mean, it's still 60 blinds, so you got plenty of room.
I mean, if you think of it like if
15, she's got 2,000.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless he's lost any of his hundreds, he has 2K and just in hundreds.
Oh, right. Oh,
No,
it looks like
no,
he's
yeah,
like
a little bit less,
1,400
yeah.
in whites there. Salads. I like that there is a salad report command. Yeah.
Nice.
What salad is your favorite player? I want a steak salad. You know what? I'm going to have a salad after the stream. That's what we're going to do.
What's great is you got this restaurant doesn't close. You're always getting food
Yes.
here.
This, like, I'm going to say, I've gone to, like, quite a few places in, you know, like LA, like the Bike, Commerce, a bunch of places in Vegas. In terms of the food you can get right next to a poker table, this is some of the best.
Right. Well, and a lot of places won't even bring you food to the table. Here they'll bring everything to you.
Like, for real, if you've never been to Stones, you should come to Stones.
Yeah.
If you're planning on coming up here, I know that there's going to be like a circuit event in Sacramento in January. If you're planning on coming up here for that, like, come to Stones. You won't regret it. That's all I'm saying. It's a great time. Where's the rest of the spot? Well, that's what happens when the pots haven't been very big today. But I think this is an interesting lineup because we typically have guys like Bill and Harlan who are,
Right.
I wouldn't say Harlan's like super loose. I mean, nobody's really super loose compared to Bill.
Right.
But those guys really drive the action.
Absolutely.
They get these pots really big. So it'll be interesting to see if somebody kind of takes that role, because I don't know that I've seen any of these people on previous streams kind of play that role. You know.
Right. Yeah, and I think you really start seeing also just there's a pot size discrepancy between PLO and NLHE.
Oh, for sure.
You know. So we'll see also, like I said, see if that affects how, like, the action in which people are playing.
Mason fact, 2,759,294. He was once a UFC referee. That's funny. I mean, I could see it. Just put those like black latex gloves on.
Right?
It looks like he works out a bit. Spencer's got their one. Let's see. Bike is good food too. I would say there's a few places that have good food. There's a few, you know, and most of it's like cheap. I think the places outside of Vegas tend to have the best, like, reasonably priced food. Vegas,
Right.
the food is not bad, but you're paying way more for it.
Yeah. There's not too many places where there's not a, like, drop off in, like, food availability. You know, usually it's like, you know, you're kind of stuck to almost room service type food. You know, here I think it's the full menu, right? 24 hours.
You can get the full menu. There is a player menu that gives
Right,
like discounted rates, but you can order anything off the menu.
Right.
They give you, you know, there's already a built-in thing. No matter what limit you're playing, you're getting a player rate for the food. So
Right.
it's pretty great. You can play 1 and 2 for, you know, a $40 buy-in, sit around and have like a pizza or something, and then go home when you're done.
All right, Mason's got top pair, now trips. So did he check the flop?
Yeah.
Okay,
I guess he
so
checked.
Ozzy must have, you know, tried to pre-flop still. He defended with the king 10, which is obviously fine. You can even 3-bet that if you want. But being that it's suited, I'm probably okay just calling, you know, because you do have more options of winning.
Are you more likely to 3-bet that against someone like Oz, who's probably going to open fairly wide on his button?
Yeah, but I'd be more likely to 3-bet if I'm offsuit.
Okay.
You know, just you know, it has a little bit less playability.
Right.
And then, I mean, and Ozzy's gonna, you know, open so wide there when it's folded to him on the button that, I mean, I would 3-bet a lot worse hands than that against Ozzy there.
If Mason does not pot, I will eat my own hand. Okay. Like on that particular hand, or any time throughout the evening?
I don't know, but does he have a way to prove that he's gonna eat his hat?
Can we get video evidence of you?
And can we
eating
see
the
like
hat?
the hat beforehand? Like, I don't know
If
if
you're
he's
near
gonna make a
Stones,
hat
just
out
hop
of
in the booth.
Yeah, some fruit roll-ups or something.
and get up in here for the Stones. Let's see.
It looks like they're changing out decks.
Yeah, some bad cards, some bad RFID cards. Maybe that's what's contributing to the hands not showing up. So, if you guys aren't already following the channel, I know I'm seeing some of you guys here in the for the first time. But if you're not already following the channel, just hit the heart at the top of the page. You can select the option to get email notifications every time we go live. We're here Mondays and Wednesdays every week, and then occasionally on Sundays, depending on what we've got going on. We've just started doing some sit and goes, 1K sit and goes. Often the last Sunday of every month, we just had that, a $300 tournament with 10K to first. Do you ever play that? You ever played anything for that?
I've been to some of their tournaments, especially like the chip amplifier, stuff like that. So I'll definitely come out there. They got a lot of good tournaments out here. Actually, a tournament coming up Tuesday, December 5th, and Thursday, December 7th, is the Lilliput tournament for the charity. Basically, $100 buy-in with and you get 10,000 in chips. Every $5 you add on for that, you get an extra $1,000 chips, up to $25 max, so extra $5,000. And the nice thing about this is everything that that is going to the house is getting donated to this charity, to the Lilliput charity.
And that's I've saw this before, but what's the charity do?
So basically helps some lesser some families that are a little bit more low income, help getting some some toys, and especially for the holiday season, to the people that can't really do it for for their children. So it's a really good tournament, a really good
Somebody said we were the best poker combo commentary since the invention of sliced bread.
Hollywood, how you doing? Welcome.
High praise.
Hollywood has made a living off of bluffing me with King Jack high when I had 9 high.
One of them needs to borrow Jake's beard. Yeah, Jake's beard is on beard sabbatical.
I borrowed the starter pack.
Right, the starter. If we combined it, might get close, but not really.
Yeah, we're about an eighth of the way there.
The beards here are 5 out of 10. Yeah, I actually always get to this point where I'm just like, I shave it. Yeah. I get bored.
Well, actually, I would say mine's a 3 out of 10 because that's the size.
The clipper
down to. Yeah.
Nice. So intentionally 3 out of 10.
Right.
Alright, so Ryan raises with Ace Jack there. No action whatsoever. He folds him on the button. Ace Jack offsuit. Standard open.
Yeah.
I
didn't
actually see the defend, but it looked like 9-6, which it's debatable defend. I mean, I suppose it depends in a cash game how comfortable you are playing post flop.
Right.
Maybe in tournaments you're a little bit more pressed to make chips. Here you can kind of pick your spots a little bit better.
Yep. All right, Greg, ace 9. I'm not in love with this open from early position. I'd prefer to I'd prefer to have my ace 9 as like a 3-bet bluff kind of hand, because I mean it is going to be just difficult to continue on with this hand. I think for actual hand value.
Oh, for sure. Because you're going to be expected to c-bet. There's not a lot of flops, or not expected, but there's not a lot of flops. You're going to feel great about c-betting. Unless it comes like 3 spades with the 9, and like maybe this is one of them. This is like one of the few flops.
Right.
What's interesting is he's probably going to get a bit of action here because Mason also has a club.
But here now it's like, are you bluffing? Or are you trying to actually value bet with your
ace
9 like?
This is one of those spots maybe you should
what are you trying to get value from? I would assume like I would probably be betting here for value from king clubs, queen clubs, jack clubs, something like that.
Random clubs. Little does he know that Mason also has an ace, and he actually has them outkicked if the flush gets there, and if the flush doesn't get there. So Mason's in a bit of trouble. But I think if you bet this flop, you want to bet again. Do you bet again? If you're going to bet the flop, if you're going to play ace 9,
especially with the 3, I'm not, that's not really.
Nothing changed. It's super easy.
But I do think if I lead out here, on the flop, I'd probably bet small, like third pot.
Yeah. Well, but now what happens on the river? If you bet suddenly on the river.
So I think here I'd probably check and let him bluff.
Check call.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what Greg's gonna do. All right. Try to get some value. Maybe he isn't sure he's got the best hand. Maybe he is sure he has the best hand. That's like a third pot.
That's like pretty small. Yeah, I think he's going for thin value.
I don't know that Mason's ever going to bet in this particular situation if you check to him.
Right, that's another thing you have to ask yourself. So, but the other thing is like, so you're definitely, I don't think you're betting for thin value against other aces, because it's like all the other smaller aces kind of have you crushed. So you're trying to get from ace-6, ace-5, ace-4, get value from them. So maybe you're trying to get a call from maybe a 10 of clubs, something like that.
Yeah, like a high club that happened to pair the board, like,
right.
I don't know, 10, 10, I don't even know. That is kind of a weird board. I think often, like, you're c-betting on that board because you think, like, it's kind of bluffy, right? Like, oh, if anybody continues, then I know that maybe I have to, like, slow down. But it's a pretty hard board to call a bet on. I think this is probably another reason why I'm in the booth instead of, like, here on the stream playing. But I think I probably would have bet if he's calling the flop. I might have considered betting the turn. I think, like, I would at that point think that I have the best club, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that or it's just trying to figure out, like, so if you bet small, so you can obviously, there's a lot of pairs that will call you, and then based on the turn card that doesn't change anything, but also the fact that you can still get the value from bigger clubs, like I said, the king, queen of clubs. I think you still bet the turn pretty often for, again, smaller sides, and then check river, give him a chance to bluff when everything kind of bricks out.
Yeah, and then you maybe make a little bit more money. Looks like we're back to PLO, by the way. It's just
it's easy to tell when it's PLO when our screen is completely covered in cards.
Packed full.
Oh, okay, so I think this is a bomb pot, actually. So
I don't know. Is there only 6 players?
Is someone sitting out? Maybe?
Yeah, it looks like somebody. Huh. Maybe you can elect not to play the bump out. Maybe they're just running a flip.
Yeah, it looks like just a flip. Yeah.
There was no post-flop action, so I think they decided instead of a bomb pot to just run a flip. Similar idea, but you can't make 13 grand on a flip.
Yes,
right?
there's no more betting. It's just take it over. And with this many people, it takes a long time to kind of just turn one over at a time and see what you got to beat. But when you're flipping, that's the best way to do it. Or if you're all in blind, just wait until the very end. You just flip one call at a time. Yeah,
sometimes we'll do Omaha sweats where you actually put the river face down, so like everyone shows their hands first, and then you flip the river as the last card.
It's nice having, just mix it up.
You just want to build as much drama as you possibly can in a flip.
Well, especially if you're like, you're just shoving all in for, a short stack, then it's like you just got to maximize, the fun that you can have, because it's not fun being all in for short stack.
It's just like part of the fun is the sweat.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, obviously it's great to win a hand, but it's also great to win a hand after like a pretty sweet sweat.
Yep. And again, I mean, it creates really good, table dynamics with everybody, because everybody gets into it, because they're full of suspense too.
Yeah, and everybody's like rubbing it, and then suddenly everyone's cheering.
Yep. And all of a sudden, pots that were normally like $100 are now $300-400, just because people were laughing and have a little bit more energetic.
All right, so keep that in mind if you guys are ever playing against Masta C. He's only being funny, so he can take all your money.
Yeah, and I'll shake my head and be like, "Oh man, so lucky! I can't believe it. Lucky. What can I say?" Cooler.
He's just trying to butter you up with his friendship and his jokes. Don't be fooled.
But still play.
Oh, definitely play, because there's probably going to be wine, and probably going to be champagne.
I'm not above buying someone a drink.
5 straight no piggy flips after my home game. Achievement of my career. Yeah, those are fun. I mean, that's what poker. I mean, everyone keeps saying poker should be fun, but you also understand too that like this is what some people do for a living and they take it seriously. So it's nice to find that balance of those two.
Right. But if you do it for a living, it's even more in your interest to create a good table dynamic because you're trying to do whatever you can to increase the availability of money to you. So, and the way you do that is just like we keep saying, have everybody fun.
Yeah, for sure.
You go ahead and bring it, Hollywood. I'll snap off King Jack, no problem.
Looks like we're setting up a potential Hollywood Masta C grudge match.
Heads up match.
Heads up grudge match.
On the stream.
When's that happening?
6 hours.
Maybe that'll be like the preliminary to the title bout of a stream sometime, like a 30-minute heads up match.
It's going to be a graveyard match.
Yeah.
You know, some from 4 in the morning
They'll
till
close
10
out the stream
a.m.
later. Yeah.
All Raz.
Oh wow. So Oz opens 9-8 suited. I like it. Often, like, I think so many people get into weird habits of limping hands like this. Oz is never going to limp a hand like this, but some people on the stream have done, they get a hand like that, they want to play it, but they don't want to raise because they're afraid to like fade a 3-bet or something.
And he's totally fine taking this down too. You know, it's 9-8. I mean, and you think about, if you're trying to play and you're worried about your hourly, you think you just made $10.
Yeah.
Like you didn't see a
hand. If you can win $10 every time you have a suited connector,
you're loving it.
You're gonna probably win a lot of $10.
And if you get 3-bet, like sure you don't like calling 3-bets too much out of position, but the fact that you opened under the gun, called a 3-bet, like you're pretty straight, pretty strong there. And
I think that's a pretty standard move too. Depending on the size of the 3-bet, if it's like an outrageously huge 3-bet,
if you're deep
enough, you probably don't want to call it. But there's a lot of value in playing those hands. We talk about it all the time on the stream. Suited connectors. If you're playing cash, especially, like
they do really well in 3-bet.
Just don't limp them.
Right. I mean, you should really never be limping. I mean, I'll limp from sometimes in early position, just depending on table dynamics and stuff. But for the most part, I'm raising.
Arthur's probably not going to get much action on this board. Heads up, all clubs. Brandon only has a deuce. Yeah. Check, bet, fold. Ryan's still sitting about 350, but he's been sitting in that spot for the first hour so far. So.
Right.
Oz been on top of the board. It looks like whatever happened before the stream started, I think Sally won a big pot. You were telling me Sally had a set of aces against
Ozzy had a set, and basically Ozzy bet flop on a ace queen. I can't remember the other two, but basically ace XX board, 2 clubs. Ozzy pots the flop from early position. Sally repots from the button. Ozzy calls. Club hits. Ozzy shoves. Sally tank calls. They run it twice. Sally holds.
And then Oz doesn't hesitate. Buys in for the table stakes.
Absolutely.
Now,
how else are you going to...
Probably the most aggressive and arguably the best player at the table, or at least one of the best players at the table, with a ton of chips. So it's not a terrible situation to be in.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is the bright side of losing 1,000 early in a session, is that now you're able to buy in for...
and he's also has the chips that he just gave, just a couple spots to his right. So he's going to have the rest of the 3 hours of attempts to always have position, on the chips that you just lost to be able to get them back.
Thinking Ryan's going to open fairly wide in the PLO hands at least.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't like a bad hand, but ace queen, 10-7, suited 10, right? Made $10. Great job, Ryan.
Yep. Again, I'll take it.
Yeah, so in case you guys are just tuning in, it's 5-5. It's a mixed Hold'em and PLO cash game. So far, I wouldn't say like it's been kind of a quiet stream, a little bit. You know, nothing too nutty yet.
Right.
I think everybody's locked in, like trying to play their best game. I think when you get a player who most people acknowledge is good, and then you get like a few of those players at the same table, the lesser, the players who are aware that maybe they aren't the best are going to tighten up and play their A game, and then I think that's what we're seeing.
Definitely. I mean, the tougher the competition, then obviously, the better you have to be playing. Because I mean, the nature of poker is you're making money off of people making mistakes. So if you're going to be playing against people that aren't going to be making mistakes, then you kind of got to limit the mistakes that you're making. The margins
are going to be pretty thin.
Right.
All right. So if you're in a hand with 10, 9, 8, 3 double suited, this is one of the better flops you're going to see for that hand.
Yep. Well, especially
orbit of each.
And I didn't even see that. He had the 3 as well.
When they go to the seat 1. Whenever the button's in seat 1. Alright, well Brandon can't lose his hand. Checks behind. I guess he wants to give GRZ a chance to maybe bluff. I just don't see any reason.
Right.
GRZ's probably just going to check and give up on this.
Now, they do have a little dynamic. They did play a hand, I think it was the first hand dealt, where they kind of potted each other a couple times and didn't have any. They had some playful banter.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I am kind of interested to see, if any of that kind of continues.
What's up, Rick and Barstow?
Rick, welcome. Yeah.
Cool.
Down in poker.
Yeah. So we got our boy Masta C in the booth today.
That's right.
Are you? We're hoping to make this at least semi-regular thing. So
yeah, I'm gonna see if maybe they want to.
Maybe we want to bring you back.
Yeah.
We'll discuss it. I have anything to do with it.
They'll call my people.
Right.
They'll get together.
So we're gonna have at least 4 lunches.
Right. Absolutely. My agent talks to their agent.
And then it's a very strict interview.
Right.
Process, obstacle course.
I hear there's a gauntlet back there.
Yeah, for sure.
With all the off-duty dealers coming in bringing their weapon of choice. So.
There's a point where people just throw chips at you.
Well, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Oh wow, this is a pretty hand. I mean, I said oh wow, but it's really going to be a shame if this goes to waste. No one's going to get any playable hand back.
All right, so what is Aussie 3-betting with?
He gets skits. Why not? He's 3-betting with position.
Right.
Oh no, also a pretty good hand. What's fun about these hands is similar sort of board textures.
Right.
They'll be in the same vicinity, so it could be interesting to see how this plays out. Grizz is never folding this in a million years.
Oh, did he 4-bet?
Looks like he's 4-betting. I mean,
Nice.
you gotta really like this hand. This thing too is this is a hand like queens. Like we were saying earlier, kings, right? You want to play them fast, get it all in, fine. If you want to flip for your stack or whatever, not necessarily flip. You're assuming you're not going to be up against aces. But this hand is also a hand that plays really well post-flop. Both of their hands are,
Right.
really fun. So.
And it was a small 4-bet as well. So I mean,
Ooh.
I don't know if he was trying to take it down at that point.
There aren't a ton of flops that miss both of them completely. I guess that doesn't really miss anybody. Like straight draws are there.
Right, and SPR is so low, they're just going to get it in.
Yeah, actually he only has, 450?
Yeah,
behind?
that's 375.
Oh, it says 590, but I don't think it's 590.
Yeah, see, it's going to get it in. They're going to run it twice. We'll see how it goes.
So let's see. 10-9. So he's open-ended with an overpair versus.
And I'm kind of liking Ozzy's hand.
GRZ's blocking. Oh, I guess they're sort of
he's
both
wrapped,
blocking.
You
Yeah.
know? So, but yeah.
And the backdoor spades. There's all kinds of. I mean, we'll see. Oh, that's a good card for GRZ. And
so Queen's hold.
wins the first one.
Wow, Queen's
safe.
hold. Wow.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Maybe that's another reason why you 4-bet pre, because you want to put yourself in a position where, regardless of the flop, you're priced in, you have to go. That happens a lot, I think, in PLO, even in a situation where you completely miss the flop. You almost like make the decision for yourself pre-flop by saying, regardless of what happens on the flop, I'm putting all my chips in, and you know.
Yeah, you're committed at that point.
There's also the comfort of being able to run it twice, which most people do.
And I believe I know at least in the regular hold'em you can run it up to 3 times. I would assume you could do it up to 3 times.
I think you can, yeah. I mean, but maybe people just don't really want to. Like,
right.
Sometimes people run it 3 times so they have a shot at winning some money, right? Like somebody's going to make some money, right? Instead of just a chop. Some people aren't really big fans of chopping, especially when you're playing a game that's not typically a split pot game. Can they run it 3 times to PLO? Oh, yeah. We're betting that hand pre already having ISO, so to speak, seems a bit like saying I don't want to play post exactly. Yeah, but at the same time he's saying also that he's like never folding the flop, so he isn't really playing post flop. You're basically getting it all in pre without getting it all in pre.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you got SPR 1. You're just looking to smell that board. Especially he had, position so he can just ship and also have some possibility of fold equity.
Yeah, I mean, if you're open potting or shoving that flop, maybe there are some flops that it's folds.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when you're talking about, a lot of times you're going to be pretty close in equity. So anytime you can add some folds to the mix, you're really swinging things in your favor.
So Ryan gets kings on the button. Gets action for both the blinds.
Yeah, king Badoogie. But at least he does have the ace.
Got the ace blocker, but
Mason has nut, ace block.
Nothing super excited about this. Although it's weird because now you still have the best hand with the ace king.
You got to worry about a lot of the small blind, big blind defends would seem to be a lot of middle of the road kind of.
Yeah, like something
cards.
that could hit that board, right, for sure.
So I think I'd be fine with a check back there, and I'm also fine with the bet.
Yeah, he does have like a 7 blocker, so there's not a lot of he's blocking some straight draws. In a sense, he's kind of blocking flush draws.
Yeah.
He's blocking any second net flush draw, I guess.
That'd actually be a good hand to talk to him if he was in the booth now to kind of pick his head on why he decides to bet there, as opposed to check back there, because he's not. You're not in worry of somebody behind him, now bluffing and putting him in a tough decision. It's not like he's going to want 3 streets of value with that hand, anyways.
I imagine if he gets called, he's checking every turn card, behind that kind of thing. What's up, What Bry? From the bike.
What Bry?
The enemy.
What's up, buddy?
The bike is the enemy, not What Bry, by the way. And they're not even really the enemy. But
No, we're all together.
This is a fun. That's one of the things that I found really neat is some people might assume that all these different people streaming on Twitch and are in sort of competition with each other, but in reality, I think everybody's goal is the same, and we're just trying to build the poker community.
Right. You build it up, and then you get more people to watch other streams. You just bring more people in, and that's the best way to do it. Everybody get together, build it up.
For sure. I think Poker After Dark is on tonight too. I don't know if it's over already or not, but that was like Isfandiari, D Moon Girl, those guys are on there. Lauren Roberts, she's really fun. I talked to her a little bit. She played the 10K. They had a first time like 10K team event at the beginning of this World Series.
Yeah.
And she played with two women that have won the ladies event before.
Okay. Nice.
Lisa Hamilton and Haxia Zhang. I can't say her name very well. Haxia Zhang. But yeah, it was fun. They made an alright run. I think they made day 3 of that tournament.
So made some flops, bottom set here. Aussies probably continue, with a lot of backdoor options.
Yeah. And, I guess there's an imposition. He check called. Oh, wow.
And they're both, pretty deep. You just...
Oh, Mason bets the pot, I think. And, oh, cool. Yeah. I mean, I've only ever seen clips of Live at the Bike. But yeah, I do think that this kind of Twitch poker thing is something where everybody, even the guys who are streaming, are all kind of in support of the other guys. It's not a typical, like, oh, I need to get all the viewers.
Right.
It's like...
and especially, and I say like every time I'm here, but it's so amazing to have these opportunities to come and play on a live stream. You have 3 hours of footage on yourself to where you can have other people watch. You're going to break down all your hands, everything that you thought about in that hand. Have people that you trust do the same thing, and then you can talk about the hands, and you will learn so much just watching yourself and breaking down hands and getting other people's feedback, especially in an environment where they can see the previous hand, so now they know the table dynamics that are already involved. It's a huge opportunity. So if you're anywhere close to a place that streams, it's like you have to be playing. And even if you're not, like, it's worth like flying somewhere to visit. Like, come visit here. There's plenty of stuff to do in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Plan a trip around, being on the stream. It's worth the price of everything you're going to put into it. It's going to be worth the flight, the hotel, you're buying, for how it's going to help your game.
Yeah, I actually have never, I don't think I've thought about that too much, but the archive of things as like viewers and as yourself, if you're playing on it a bunch, having people be able to look at it. Because often you're trying to like tell somebody about a hand, but you don't remember all the details of the hand. It's all recorded here for you. So. Greg flops trips on a board that he's probably not going to get a ton of action on if he decides to bet.
Yeah, I think this actually might be it's so multi-way, you can still get away with betting, but because you're kind of hogging so much of the board, like, it would also be okay to,
He's probably just going to check call this, but Ryan's never going to bet again on the turn unless, of course, there's like a 5 or, something like that on the turn. I don't see him betting most turns.
See, and I just don't really know why you're raising here.
Yeah. I mean, in a sense, it almost doesn't matter because if he's calling, he's not getting any more money anyway.
But I mean, he might continue just.
But no one's calling.
Chance.
Like fives will call you, pocket fives will call you, already made boat will call you, or the same hand, ace queen.
And so I mean, you're trying to get value from king queen.
Right.
Like when it's check to him on the button, the fact that he's betting is going to be so much more likely that he's bluffing. He's going to have a lot of bluffs.
Right. His hand is weaker. He's not.
Right. And then you also think about, so he is also a short stack. So if he does have something, like maybe he turns a flush draw with his, pair or whatever, and now you're going to get an opportunity for him to shove.
Right.
So you are kind of hurting yourself in a couple ways by raising there.
Yeah. It's kind of it's not like we happen to know he's not going to make any more money than he already did, but he's definitely opening himself up to possibly losing more money in the future.
Right. And you're just robbing people from continuing on with their bluffs. Give them a chance.
Especially a guy like Ryan, who, well, I'm pretty sure Ryan's going to check every turn, like I said, except for maybe a 5.
But if he turns a flush draw, he might just shove because he's short stacked.
Right, true.
He's like, screw it, let's go. And now you're still getting it in like a pretty good favorite.
All right, so Brent is under the gun, makes it 20 with Jack 9, 8, 7.
It's a nice looking hand.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's definitely a hand you like. All the cards kind of work well together.
And you can still get away from it if you need to.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the huge things about playing hands like that in PLO is you know the flops you're looking for, right? And then when you don't get the flops you're looking for, it's okay to fold. Yeah, you make a 20 pre, you get 3 callers, you flop, a straight, and you make a little bit of money. Next time you fold. Oh, Ryan, very
probably thinking,
this board hits no one.
Right, especially like he raised, under the gun, so he doesn't think he's going to have a lot of threes in his range.
It's interesting too because Ryan might be able to take this down because he only has a Jack high flush draw and a single pair.
Right.
He's losing to A7, a better flush draw. There's a chance Ryan calling behind.
Right, and the thing about this also, I mean, I do like this play, because you're, like I said, going against under the gun open raise, but you're also under the gun 2 calling. Like, so you probably don't have a ton of threes in yours, but you're definitely going to have pocket 7s.
Right, or like a better flush draw.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Or just like an overpair. Like that's not a terrible board for an overpair.
Right.
Where you have like the ace of diamonds. In
Yes, Waprai, 8 hands each. So every time the button gets to seat 1, they change the game.
Yeah. Sally gets to change the game every time she's the button.
Yes, 92 BPIP heads up PLO. With otherworldly skills, you can get to 7 million.
Yeah, that one guy
probably will get to like negative, like infinity. Like
I gotta give props to people who play heads up PLO for a living. It's just, I mean, I guess if you play it all the time, it's similar to Hold'em. If you're playing heads up Hold'em, like you're feeling comfortable in that space. But
well, I'd love to hear him answer the question based on. So you're playing 92% of your hands. He was up to I think 95, 96% of his hands at one point. Obviously still showing a huge profit, but he was talking a little bit about ranges. So you're like, well, how do you start to figure out someone's range when you're playing like that many hands? Do you just basically start your range kind of like breaking down the ranges based on like flop action?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like heads up PLO is probably a situation where playing 90% plus of your hands, like you need to be seeing flops, right? And then ranging other people. I guess maybe that's where your edge comes from, is your ability to range them based on, are they limping, are they calling behind, are they raising, like how aggressively are they raising a hand like, I don't know, 8-8, 6-7-6 or something.
Yeah, I'm just curious what his the flop. Like if he's really dialing it back on the flops, or it kind of seems like that's where you would really have to narrow down your how you're continuing in the hand.
These flops haven't been very conducive to massive action, but Sally bets the pot. I guess that's a reasonably safe board. You can feel pretty good about making a bet and probably not getting a ton of action.
And Sally, from what we've seen so far, hasn't been playing a ton of hands either. So you also see he folded an overpair in jacks when I think, like, say, if it was Azan or somebody else had bet that, I think he peels one off.
Yeah, for sure. Or at least potentially, right? Like if the board pairs on the turn, then you like your jacks a little bit more.
Right.
Not too bad. I think.
And see, 6 and 7 are swapping cards with each other. These cards slide so much. It's like air puck, like hockey puck on air hockey machine.
We don't have any of the blockers either to keep them on the tables.
All right.
Just fly right off the table. So we're back to Hold'em. And we're limping suited cards, apparently.
So GRZ raises, which, I mean, you should. I don't really know why we're
I'm not sure why
open limping Queen 6 suited.
That tends to be a thing that people do, though. If you get a hand that you want to like see a flop with, you like try limping and see if it works.
Yeah,
and you know, sometimes people will oblige, and sometimes they won't.
And again, is this kind of a carryover from PLO? You know, like where you're trying to see a lot of hands, so you're just still in that mindset of just see, you know, what I can. You're just used to get hand, throw chip in. You know.
Get hand, throw chip in. Yeah, I thought that's what that's the thing we were talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, but you play heads-up PLO for a living. I feel like you probably have a pretty good idea of what you're doing, or at least, I mean, you know what you're doing, what your plan is. I wouldn't be able to like even begin to tell you like his mindset as far as ranging people and everything.
Right.
But I think every single thing you do helps your opponent put you closer to what you're holding, right? Like whether you're checking or whether you're calling, especially like in Omaha, you probably don't have any huge draws if you're just calling, you know, or you're, you know, like you're maybe you're scared of certain things based on your action. It's all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, I don't know if that's news to anybody watching a poker stream, but everything you do means something to someone, and they're going to put together some kind of story there. Brian is pretty scary to look at.
You know what's crazy? You think about just another difference between PLO and No Limit Hold'em is I think we've seen on every single PLO hand, we've seen at least a flop.
Yeah.
And I mean, and we're having maybe like about half of the No Limit hands, like not even seen a flop.
Yeah. I wonder if everybody's just tightening up on the.
It's just, you know, I think, the nature of the two games, you know, and just.
But that's one thing that's like probably a leak for a lot of people in PLO is that
I agree.
You're you know, somebody saying some sentence to the like to the tune of, oh, you know, you can play every hand, or you know, I mean, like, oh, 4 cards. Like some people say that as a joke, but some people mean it. Like, oh, I can play PLO.
Right.
You know, what hand can you fold pre-flop? Well, there's a lot of hands you can fold pre-flop. Yeah. A lot of times it's a little bit more about where your position is, right? Like. Early on, Mason gets kings in under the gun or under the gun +1 with no real like redraws, or you know, like a suited king, a single suited king, but not a hand that works really well together, and ends up losing a decent sized pot because you know it's not a great hand. Yep. It looks nice, kings, like your mind is thinking, I have kings.
Right.
But yeah, you don't. No.
Whopper, I still needling me over a hand we played like 2 years ago.
It wouldn't be poker friendships if you weren't getting needled about something that happened years ago.
You know, one of those hands you just overthink things.
So Ozzy's got a pretty nice hand here. He's up against a better hand currently, but we'll see. Oh, a nice little brick. I wonder how likely Ozzy is to bluff this. Oh, he's not first to act, so he's probably gonna fold.
Yeah.
I can't. If he was first to act, I wonder if he would like bet something. You know, maybe he gives up. Maybe he knows something about Brandon that we don't. Or something.
Yeah, I'm curious also if Brandon kind of put Ozzy on like some kind of backdoor hand, you know, like spades or something, and was deciding to bet a little larger for, you know, like in a polarized spot, or if he thought he had like, you know, another like a worse 2-pair like ace-x something. Because I mean, it was kind of a larger pot, you know, when a lot of times if you're going for thin value, especially against an aggressive opponent, you might want to just check the river to them, you know, to
let him bet some amount. The problem then comes in when they do something nuts like overbet the pot or whatever, then you suddenly feel like even more obligated.
Then you puke a little bit, and but I mean, you know,
just don't puke on the table.
Right. Like, but then there's still the same thought process. You know, you still got to break it down and, you know, kind of go through reads.
Who was the last person to wear a tie on stream?
Probably Justin, Fat Train.
Like sitting at the
or
table.
JFK, right? Does JFK usually always have
But I mean, like sitting at the table playing with a tie?
Oh, I don't know.
Are we talking about being on the stream with a tie? Because I'm sure in that case, JFK is on every stream with a tie.
Exactly. As far as someone at the table, I don't know. I thought there was someone on one of the last streams that like was dressed like pretty nicely, but I don't remember if he had like a tie.
I think Dave had like a nice jacket on. Casey wears like the equivalent to a tie. She's always dressing up for the stream.
Right.
I think that should encourage other people to bring their A game when they're on the stream. Let's dress up a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Who is gonna like beat Casey in terms of looking sharp?
Right.
Hey, what's up, Eric? Some of the running up homies in the chat.
Oh, JFK's back in the hand. Oh, Con did wear a tie.
Emergies.
I feel like,
oh yeah,
like
Con,
he was like out in his work attire. So
yeah, that's
like,
true. Like,
almost doesn't count. But
he kind of got off and just joined maybe, but he also, you know, I think when you wear a suit, like the more often you wear a suit, the more comfortable you are in a suit, the more you like wearing a suit.
Right.
I barely ever wear suits, so it's just awkward for me.
Yeah, but
sometimes, but
it's nice to
when you look
nice to rock a
you
good
feel
jacket.
nice. Yeah.
Like I have a few different like suede, jackets, or like I got a purple one, like a black one, like and you wear them, you got to rock it out.
Yeah, let's get on that, JFK. Where's the all-male romper stream? I would be on that stream and I would wear it, but I'm never gonna buy one. So somebody would have to buy them.
Ryan folds his gut shot. No, sorry, Ryan Bennett. Never mind. I was looking at the wrong people with the wrong hands.
And those onesies with animal ears. Yeah, we're getting a little crazy. Ryan's built up like an extra $50-$60 over the last hour or so, grinding a shorter stack.
Yeah, and then one double up, and now he is no longer like playing short stack.
Oh, for sure. Romper ban in effect. All right. Well, I guess Lance isn't going to play in the male romper game.
Well,
the romper stomper.
He'll just have to work on the camera angles and just keep everything very in tight, close to the face.
Communist romper ban. I'm actually kind of mandatory tuxedo. Okay, fine. Tuxedo. I think a tuxedo game could be fun.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
With like everybody's drinking martinis.
But I don't know if that only the males have to wear tuxedos.
No, for sure. Anybody. Like, everybody get up in there and wear a tuxedo. You know what? One of the funny things, like, so there's black tie, right? But apparently, I mean, I only know this because I watched like Downton Abbey.
Okay.
But white tie is like
Is that like even above it?
Yeah. So and so they're often wearing like a white vest with a white tie, and it's like, man, it looks nice, but geez, I have trouble with white personally.
So Greg's gonna 3-bet his ace queen of clubs, which I'm totally fine doing.
Yeah, especially from the small blind, you kind of.
Yeah, and again, when I decide what I'm gonna 3-bet versus what I'm not, I do scale back my 3-bets on suited cards. Because again, just a little bit more playability. Also, I'm comfortable playing out of position, so I want to play just more hands on over more streets. I feel like I'm going to extract more value. I'm always fine taking it down. No contest. Just take the pot. We're good with that. But I think Ace Queen is a good enough hand, especially going against a late position open. That I think. It's fine to call.
You're far enough ahead of the range. Calling sometimes in that spot is not a bad idea.
And I think they would expect a lot of times for you to raise. So you do have some little bit of deceptiveness to your hand.
One of the things I think is interesting though is like it's almost like you raise late position with a hand like Queen 9 suited. Mm-hmm. You get 3-bet. It's not wrong to call in position, obviously depending on how much it is and what exact hands you have.
Sizes,
But I mean, we're seeing the hands, so we know, oh wow, he'd be in really a big trouble because they're sharing a queen. But in cash especially, like that's the thing is you're supposed to open up to these like suited one gappers, suited connecting hands. To try to win big pots and then get out cheap when you don't have it. But that happened the last game too. People were opening and then folding the 3-bets, and then like one person opened, called the 3-bet, in position, which is totally fine, like completely reasonable play, and then ended up having to fold. I think.
Yeah, I think it's definitely fine to you start thinking about kind of like the range of hands you want to do stuff with. So obviously the range of hands that you're going to open in late position is going to be extremely wide, but you don't want to call that entire range, call 3-bet with your entire range,
sure.
So it is fine finding hands, that you can continue with and hands you can fold. Hands you might want to continue with are going to be, hands that can flop top pair, going to give some straight draws, obviously like your flush draw, straight draw kind of combination type hands. So like say, because I'd be fine from a hijack raising 7-6 offsuit, right. But somebody 3-bets me, I'm probably dumping that. Right. But I might, continue on with the queen 9.
With like a jack 9 or
right.
jack 10 or something. Yeah, something more close to the. Yeah, the 7-6, you could end up in a situation where you have like the bottom end of the straight or like right. a low flush or something. You're not feeling too great about it. I think that's one thing that gets lost on some people is yeah, your hand is nice. Yeah, those cards are great. But realistically, what you really want, like the perfect storm of, you have a good hand, you right. have the best hand, and like what you're up against.
Right.
So that's where the closer you get to that all lined up, the more money you're going to make.
Sure. And then, anytime, there's hardly ever anything wrong with putting money in with the best hand.
Yeah. Definitely.
Alright. It's like Ron Ray's under the gun. Ace diamond, king jack spades, 8 of club or 8 of hearts. Totally fine.
I like Sally's hand on the button here.
I do too.
I think it's hard though to a 3-bet because if you're right. flatting a 3-bet, you hate a position where you.
Right. What's Ryan gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. You hate a position where you flat a 3-bet and then somebody pots over it. I think, from the small blind, I don't necessarily, what was it, ace, king, jack, deuce?
Yeah.
Double suited?
Yeah.
I guess that might be like a semi-type fold, but it's the same reason, Ryan.
Right.
You're thinking, do I want to play this potentially for 300?
Right.
I don't want to 4-bet my hand, right?
I think every once in a while, maybe you might want to try to peel off, but I'm fine either way, But I think you should probably more often than not be folding there, for all those reasons. But I think every once in a while, I think you can find a flat, and then if he does rip it, then it's just move on.
Yeah, I think.
But the question is he more likely to 3-bet or 4-bet if you call?
And this is definitely the kind of situation that Ryan is looking for. He, now he's actually getting free rolled. Almost free rolled.
He is.
Until now.
And they only run it once? Chop chop?
No, Ryan gets Ryan made the straight.
Yeah.
He gets the gutter for the straight. It's a great flop for Arthur, especially when Ryan goes all in.
Yeah. And Arthur's thinking, how?
Yeah, exactly. You're like, wait, the one you need the non-queen of clubs.
I just got 2 outed.
A non-queen club.
No, 3 out.
You're basically chopping, and you're almost free rolling, right?
Yeah.
As close to free rolling as you could probably get without actually free rolling. I suppose if he had like a set there and the nut flush draw, then he's free rolling. Yeah. Well, Ryan gets the double up he's been looking for, or trying to work that short stack too, and he's going to be right up there with everybody else.
Yep.
800, close to 1,000.
Yeah, like I said, one double up away. Yeah, I didn't see that the queen made the straight there.
Yeah.
Until that closer look.
It was one of the few cards. It's not unreasonable for Ryan to press that kind of thing. He's up against a specific hand that's going to call him on that board. But maybe just a naked ace king without the flush draw has trouble calling on that board.
Sure.
With no redraw or anything like that. So unfortunate for Arthur, because he really did have if you have that hand and somebody's potting in front of you, you're loving it.
Especially short stack.
Maybe not loving it, but you're not hating it. You're actually you're calling all the time, and you're loving it more.
Well, and just the nature that you have, ace king, now it's unlikely that you're up against a set. especially with the pre-flop action win. So,
come on, guys, we need a power ranking. What is the power ranking? What are we power ranking? Who are the crushers in this game? Okay, I don't know. I feel like if I'm gonna do that, I don't want anyone's like feelings to get hurt. If that makes sense.
Is that?
Yeah.
And honestly, and we were talking about this, with a couple of the guys that are playing on other tables. This is a pretty solid lineup.
Yeah, I think
like
a lot
everybody
of people...
here can hold their weight pretty well. I think it's also part of why you're seeing like some of the hold'em hands be a little more passive, a little more kind of reserved, just because everyone is pretty solid.
Right.
And we got another flip.
I have decided that it probably won't be that offensive.
Right.
I mean, there has to be a best player at the table, and everyone's going to have an opinion, I think. If I had to guess, I'd probably say Oz is probably 1 or 2 in the power rankings.
Well, I think at least in the no limit hold'em portion.
Yeah.
And I don't even really know most of these guys' games well enough. I do know Ryan's had a lot of success with PLO, so maybe just that alone might give him the edge in
PLO power ranking. That's a fun game to play, I think. Again, I know a lot of people. I want to say one of the times that I did the stream where Sally was playing PLO. Maybe it wasn't. I might be confusing Sally with someone else, but it was like she's like learning to play PLO. Still kind of new, like exploring, new games and that kind of stuff. And I'm a big fan of anybody who wants to like learn other games. I think 100%. It actually helps you get better at your preferred games. The more games you play, because
you have to think in different ways, and other games open up spots that aren't as prevalent in other game types. So having to think about those will, even if you don't face those kind of scenarios, you can still face similar scenarios. So it just gives you exposure to things that maybe you don't come across.
I would
or
say
maybe you do come
Hollywood
across it, you just haven't seen it.
Hollywood's #1 in the table presence power rankings.
Yeah,
it's always
I
looking
would
sharp.
Put him down to like #3 on table presence.
Oh, okay. Well, he's top 3, top 3 at least for table presence.
I love Hollywood. He's really fun to play with. He's another one of those people that just gets it as far as having fun at the table, creating a good environment. And there's an element of it does have to be kind of like some of your own natural personality. True. Like I'm just a little bit more talkative person. I chop it up with everybody. But at the same time, even if you're a more reserved person, still maybe you just don't have all the headphones in. And if someone asks you a question, you just answer the question. You still engage with them,
right.
Not just. Oh, I'm sorry,
you don't have to like punk everybody you're playing cards with. Also, Greg gets kings. Sally's 3-betting aces, which is pretty standard.
My question with Sally is, what other hands is she 3-betting with?
No, that's true. You have to incorporate non-aces into your 3-bet range for PLO if you want to not have people just straight fold to you every single time you get aces.
And here's a really interesting spot. Is Greg going to fold? Because I'm sure by now, he's been aware. Like I said, he's going to be one of those people that watches everything at the table. He's seen that she's not playing much, that she's not 3-betting much, seen the types of hands she's showing down, and then he folds kings.
Yeah, I think in general, a lot of people say that if you open, you're not really supposed to fold the 3-bets in PLO, but this is where you're kind of like tacking in a little bit of extra information. I actually do think Sally probably has some non-aces in her 3-betting range. She did 3-bet pot that like queens, queen, jack 10. I think that was her that had that hand.
I can't remember.
Maybe. I do think she has some, but I feel like Sally's 3-bet range might be a little bit tighter than some of the other people's 3-bet range.
Yeah, it's definitely tighter. But I mean,
and you don't have great kings either. You've got king 10 of spades.
And another thing is, but as you learn the games more, you're going to be more comfortable playing different hands. Playing them more aggressively. So if you are new into a game, don't feel like you have to just go crazy with the aggression, you know, just because you are more of a conservative player.
Yeah.
You know, just still stick to your game, play your game where you're comfortable to where you can still, you know, have your best decisions available to you. And then you can just just know that people view you in that way, and maybe now you can like mix in a bluff or two here and there at a good opportune spot.
Yeah. I do like what you said there. You definitely have to be capable of 3-betting. You know, like one of the things, like she had the 8-8-7-6. Like if the pot had not been 3-bet to her, having that in your 3-bet button range also, like the suited 8-8-7-6.
Yeah, especially when in position. I mean, that would have been a great hand.
Or like a hand like Mason's got now, 8-7-5-5, those kinds of things. Like those hands play well. It's one of those things too where you hit a flop, you know where you're at more often than not.
Right.
Obviously, you don't feel great about 7 high flush, but
the thing that you do feel good about is nobody bet the flop. You think most people with a good club draw would be betting that flop.
And I think GRZ was the one that opened the action pre, and so he did not see bet. I think you can check call this. Did Mason bet and GRZ just called?
Yes.
Okay. Well, this
which I
it's
think
only
is
145. It's an interesting spot because you can check call all of your flushes here maybe, but I think Mason's gonna bet.
Yeah, I'm actually okay with betting because I think, you know, again, I think you can comfortably take out most flushes out of Spencer's range or GRZ's range.
Yeah.
You know, so he's unlikely to bet on his own.
Yeah.
So maybe he's gonna bluff, but I just don't think he's value betting very much. But he might call with like a straight, you know, if he kind of
or maybe calls with a set. The pot's not very big.
Right. You know, bet like third pot, you know, something kind of small, or even like, you know, then or pot it and see if he maybe just, you know, thinks it's a little bit of a, you know, kind of. I don't think it's too much of a polarized spot to pot it there, but I mean, you know, to try to get him to level himself. But
yeah, Sally's been pretty snug. She won the big hand off stream, and she's been, you know, playing pretty tight. But she's picked up a few more chips. She's maintained her stack through all the blinds and everything. So it's always nice if you can, you know, make win a big pot at the beginning of a session and still have all those chips at the end of the session.
It's hard to do. It's hard to do sometimes.
Exactly. Sometimes it's just like the longer you play, the more it's like a mental thing. You feel like you have to win money or something. And so, if that makes any sense. Like, oh, is it even worth me coming to play cash if I can't make like this much?
Yeah, it's really difficult. Like, you know, sometimes I'll put pressure on myself, like I'll find myself like just being too aggressive, kind of forcing things, you know, and you really have to have a perspective of it's not a session you're trying to win. You're just playing, it's one long session over years and years.
Right.
You know, and
just
you think like
chunk of the big session.
Especially in Hold'em, it's like you're playing like 33% of your hands, 35% of your hands. It's like, you know, you think you're card dead over a couple sessions, and that's just the 65% of hands over infinity, you know, that you're going through. So you're not card dead, you're just going through normal card variants. But it feels terrible.
Yeah. It would have been interesting to see what happened on this hand. Arthur had the king of hearts blocker, but there were 3 people in the hand. He was in between 2 people's.
Now, I think all these guys, you know, pretty much everybody here is capable of making some moves with blockers, but I really haven't seen anybody kind of take advantage of that.
Yeah, I don't think they really had the opportunity, too. That's the one thing, like, if everybody's limping pre, the pot's never really going to be big enough. It's like, is it worth bluffing at all to win $40?
Right.
No, like, if the pot's big enough where you have, like, a bet and a raise or a bet and a call, then you're in, like, a spot where you can squeeze and just pick up, like, $150. That's not bad, but it's like almost, you know, the passive kind of nature pre-flop leads to not really, like, more passive nature because it's not worth taking any risks.
Correct.
We've had that a few times on the stream where, like, everybody decided to limp, and it was just like limp, check, everybody checks through the flop, and then suddenly your bet sizing, even in No Limit Hold'em, your bet sizing is only ever like max like $30 on the turn, right? So then what are you betting on the river? Like 60, and every pot's like 120 to 150 bucks, and that's, you know, which are fine if you're picking all those up, but in terms of, you know, like it's more of like a grind and chipping away than, you know, like scoring a really big hand. Craig, see, I think this is a pretty easy defend in the big blind.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, his hearts are blocked. He doesn't know that, obviously, but I don't know how comfortable he would be if he hit his hearts anyway.
That's really big for Ozzy.
Wow. I wonder, like, you can almost like never bet this. This particular hand, you might not get very much action anyway, but it's like you hit this so hard.
Right.
That what does anyone calling you have?
That's a good fold by Greg too. You know, I mean,
sometimes
like
people
earlier,
might peel for that.
Right. You know, like we were saying earlier, you know, people get in the habit of peel one and, you know, kind of to evaluate the turn, especially if they have, you know, any kind of draw. You know, so for him just to fold there, like, and knowing that it's going to be difficult for him to continue on in that hand.
Yeah, because if you call the flop, make your flush, are you check calling the turn as well? Because you haven't really learned anything new, right? If you bet the turn,
and then how much are you check calling the river with?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, it's like you've kind of turned your hand a little bit face up, so now you're just going to, you know, open yourself to be taking the value town.
Nobody wants to go to Value Town unless you're.
They don't want to be taken there. They want to go there. They don't want to be taken there. Yes.
You want to be the one taking people.
Absolutely.
Is wearing hats still cool at the poker table? I don't know. It seems like. Well, here's what we can do. Let's go with the hat power ranking. So far,
I'm taking C4 because I have that hat.
Okay.
I actually like the World Baseball Classic.
Let's see. It looks like there's only 4 hats, right? Okay.
I would give.
Oh no! Wow, so many hats. Okay.
We're letting the Cubs. They had their year, you know, already. So we're gonna drop that to the bottom of the rankings.
I'm gonna put GRZ on the bottom of the hat list. It's kind of like the hat power rankings.
But I feel like he could have made that hat, so you know,
okay,
it gives a little bit more
creativity. It is kind of earthy, like a hat you might wear hunting, that kind of thing. Whereas, yeah. You can't really go wrong with the Raiders hat. I mean, it's clean, it's black and white. You know,
right.
Looks nice. Not that you don't have to be a Raiders fan to rock it.
A lot of people like just wearing those colors. Brandon gut shot, flush draw.
Yeah.
Actually, open-ended.
Pretty. Of like the turd flops, this is a pretty great flop for your.
Yeah.
It's like a nice turd flop for your Queen Jack 8-7 hand.
I think, you know, this bet sizing, he's hoping just a one and done. I think.
Sally bet 60. Is that
Sally
correct?
bet? I thought he bet
With 2 pair. No, I think Sally bet.
She bet. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it tends to happen. I think Sally's gonna. Well, I almost think Sally should check here.
Yes.
Like pounding 2 pair really hard on weird boards.
Yeah.
People do that sometimes.
Well, I mean, especially when it's like bottom pair going with it, you know, it's just there's so many times it's just not going to hold up through the river, especially when it's a low pair.
And this is a super easy turn for Brandon to bet. She might talk herself into peeling again, but I don't think so. I think she'll let it go.
Yeah, and she's a little bit, you know, on the tighter side in general.
Yeah, she's thinking she kind of wants to, but maybe like she doesn't necessarily want to get bluffed.
Oh, there we go. She thought about it for a second. I was like, oh no, she
knows there's a chance that maybe you're getting bluffed there sometimes.
Nice.
But you're not liking. She's actually in the lead, right? Yes.
No, he made it straight.
Oh, right. Never mind. 7-8. Yeah. Never mind. So,
any tips for players at the table who like to stare down? What do you mean stare down?
Maybe don't.
Like stare down at the table, or like stare at somebody who's like trying to make a decision?
Are you saying tips for people who are staring at you, or you staring at people?
Yeah, we need clarification on that question, Tashi.
C2 is another bar. Yeah? Oh, okay, so we got some Raiders fans in the chat. Correction, any tips for players who are getting stared down by another player? Yeah, you can do that. I guess you can make it, like, to be honest, just don't look at them.
Yeah, I mean,
often, like, pick a place and stare at them.
Yeah, once you've made your decision, you find one spot at the table and you just stare at that and
think about something else, like baseball or
yeah.
whatever. I like it. Yeah, don't. I mean, if someone's electing to stare at you, you're probably not going to win the stare contest.
Right.
And there's no reason to.
Or whatever you do, be consistent. Whether you're bluffing,
have
whether
a
you
very
have
balanced stare back range, for sure.
Because I mean, there's people that when they're bluffing, they just mad dog you.
Right.
But when they have it, they won't even look at you at all, and it's like, well, okay, then it's very easy to figure out.
You almost want to look weak every time when you do it, right? Like if somebody's staring at you,
depends how much you bluff.
True.
I bluff a lot, so
I don't mind, like, just find it. It's like the thing that, like, when people have trouble with eye contact, right? Look at someone's forehead, right? Like if it's awkward for you to look directly into someone's eyes, you look at their forehead. It gives you the feeling of being, like, looked at, right, without making you feel like uncomfortable or whatever.
Yeah, and then it's just always like
you can do that too if you want.
Yeah, I'm like, well, does it bring like weird dynamics of like, like you're challenging them, so then they do some crazy stuff just because you guys are just in a staring match? I don't know.
There is a thing I heard, like European players, because like culturally, it's very rude to stare directly at people. So like when people do that, and that's part of their game here in the States, and then they go overseas and they start doing that to the European players, it's weird, right? So that idea, it's like,
I wonder how they respond to that. Do they respond to it as like a challenge?
Well, I think at this point they've played with enough people.
Right.
But, I'm sure there's probably areas where it doesn't happen, right?
Probably.
Is this a... Yeah.
What should I do when I get...
Filipino?
Both.
Wow. Okay.
You should ask them to scramble.
You should ask for a really big wash, like a really big wash.
From seat 7 to seat 3 wash, like
set
a
up
true
every
board
40
wash.
minutes.
Yeah. Actually, you should also then get up, turn your chair around, and if the chairs are on rollers, just roll their whole chair off the table.
So Greg got a bit 3-betty with Jersey makes it 20. Greg 3-bets to 130. GRZ 4-bets to 480. And that's gonna be really tough for Greg to continue.
Yeah, I just don't see a lot of people 4-betting not ace.
Well, like we said before, like you want to have some non-aces in your 3-bet range. You're playing PLO. I don't know how many non-aces people have in their 4-bet range. Obviously, you should have some.
Right. I mean, especially get a hand
like aces.
Right. You give me like 9-10, Jack Queen, something like that, and I'm definitely gonna move those hands into like 4-bet ability.
Yeah. So Greg went for it, and it's not a bad flop for his hand.
So they just get it in, and I would assume they'd run it twice here too, because if you're getting it in, pre-flop.
Yeah, I was looking at the. Actually, I don't know that you can run it twice pre. Wait, maybe I'm wrong.
You can.
Let's raise back to. Okay, so I was reading the tracker. He raised Greg 3-bet, GRZ 4-bet, and then Greg 5-bet all in. And then GRZ.
I do like that you have the option of running it 3 times, but what I found from personal experience, playing this, is it's a nightmare when it comes to splitting the pot.
Oh, for sure.
Slows down the game, slows down the stream. But if you're playing against somebody that is likely to just get it in pretty light, then running it 3 times is good. Just
looks like GRZ wins both of them. Makes a straight on the second one. Aces are actually 6 deuce. Wins the first one for 2 pair.
Yeah.
And he wins the second one with a 6 high straight. Don't have the high hand. Which one? Oh, Six high straight. Then on the previous hand, or like the first board, I think he made 6 deuce and then a 6 high
What's going on,
straight.
Gorilla? Welcome to the chat.
What's up, Andrew Barber? I'm assuming that nobody's in here trolling Andrew, but that's him. So what up? Which hand was wrong? He flatted the first time. Oh, okay. Back raise. Got it. I was wondering. I saw your initial comment, and I was thinking, let's see what happened. And then I was watching the action, and it looked like it was just 3-bet, 4-bet, 5-bet. But
I was still thinking.
He called the original bet and then back raised kings, or he flatted aces and then back raised with aces.
Right.
Which is even more of a reason why you probably don't want to 5-bet shove the guy that back raised pot.
Right.
A bit of a gambly shove by Greg there.
What up, Hitman? It's my roommate.
Oh yeah. 707 Hitman. So you roommate with a Hitman.
Yep.
Yeah. Does that mean all of the hits are only in the 707 area code?
Right.
Oh,
He is strictly but it's a large area code.
Oh, okay.
So he does have quite a lot of room
yeah.
to work with. Yeah. Yeah, overcalled the first time with aces.
Or get me some. Basically, Tashi, I don't know
What
how
up,
serious
Magic
you're
Man?
being. Never ask for a setup.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my personal opinion. I'm never, you can obviously ask for whatever you want, and Stone's is going to accommodate for sure. They want you to be comfortable, but personally, I'm not a big fan of setups.
We're back to Hold'em. Yeah, again,
Who's the best player in the 707? I feel like this is a leading question from Andrew.
Well, it's not
Doesn't
me.
he live there too?
I don't know, does he?
I think Andrew, you said you live in like Santa Rosa, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I think Andrew lives there as well.
Oh, nice.
So I think that's why he's asking the question. Maybe.
Gotcha.
I could be wrong. My guess is there's some like Silicon Valley genius guy that crushes some home game.
Yeah, there's
And has
definitely
way more money
some
than
good home
everyone.
games in the area.
Oh, Santa Cruz. Sorry. Okay. So different. No, okay. Give us the 707 power ranking. He's like Masta C, number 1 through 5.
Yeah, I mean, I might be biased.
707 Hitman, number 6.
Yeah. In that house, I'll take myself as a strong number 1.
Brett Murray, not familiar with him.
Best in Santa Rosa, Brett Murray. I'd have to see him, but But as far as people that like I play with normally, I don't know a Brett Murray.
I want to know where to like eat breakfast in Santa Rosa. Where's the best like Mexican food in Santa Rosa?
Mexican food. Honestly, you probably want to go to the taco trucks.
Oh, nice.
They got some really good taco trucks in Santa Rosa.
Nice. All right. I don't know if I'll drop on. I know Brett. He's no number 1. Well, all right. I got a little bit of a. Now I wish I was more informed on the Santa Rosa power rankings because I'm just a bystander here while these guys hash it out in the chat.
Yeah.
So Greg busted that hand and did not buy back in. Well, we have an hour left on the stream, so I imagine we're going to fill the game.
From the people I play with, that's more at Great, I'd say like a guy named TK, a guy named Hada, a couple top guys there. But we have some guys that come in, somewhat less frequently, and they either start playing 25-50 or 10-25 or play the PLO. Like Tim, he's played on the stream here a few times. He's really good. And then there's a couple guys that might live in the area, but they go to down the Bay Area and play more. So it's tough to say for sure.
All right.
Yeah, I don't mind the 3-bet from Aussie there. You know, it's like I was saying, you know, when seat 9 had originally opened with ace 9, you know, how like I'd prefer to have ace 9 as a 3-bet hand, 3-bet bluff hand. Same with ace 6.
Yeah, for sure. Apparently GRZ is just killing it so much he's at the table twice. Because he moves seats, sometimes the program needs a moment to adjust. But so GRZ moved, and then Mason moved. So the new player, whoever it is, will come into the 5th seat and be on Ryan's immediate left. Which could be interesting. 3-betting is the only way to play it. Yeah, you're not going to call ace-6 offsuit out of the... Some people might do that. Oz is never going to call ace-6 offsuit in the small blind to a raise.
So it looks like Greg left. Seat 9.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he felt that the back raise was kind of weak. No, he's not there anymore.
Oh,
maybe he felt that back raise was very weak. But in a sense, I guess that thing is also very kind of polarized. It could be really... But I don't see people doing that very often with bad hand. It's like one of the more annoying things, though. Right. It's like, it's funny because I don't know... I mean, maybe there's a time when it's good, but it definitely is like a tilting thing for some people.
Sure.
I know Jake hates it. Like, we're watching people play, and he's always like... Apparently there's like a bet of who can just infuriate Jake when he's in the booth more with things like back raising or limping under the gun.
Yeah, limp shoving, aces.
Yeah, limp shoving. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Jake actually, I think that's probably why Jake is not here tonight. Somebody limp shoved. He went crazy.
Yeah, and he needed about a month and a half to cool off.
Yeah, that or the acid he was trying to get me to do. One of those two things. No, I'm just kidding.
He's actually still here.
No, I know. I'm just messing. I think.
Jake's still here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Jake and Jake sitting next to each other, both wearing hats and beards.
Oh, yeah. Hats and beards. Oh, I thought something was off. Is it industry PJ party night tonight?
It is.
Yes, they are wearing PJs. I was a bit thrown off too because I walked in and somebody was wearing a onesie, like.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
thing.
She must be off today. And then I see like, more and more
that
people.
That person doesn't work here. Oh, wait, never mind. They all work here. It's an army of people in their pajamas. So the dealer change, they're not playing like bomb pots. They're playing it like a flip. So it's just a PLO flip. And Sally's just spoiling any sweat by looking at the entire hand already. All right, I mean, different strategies. You can sweat as much as you want.
Well, Brandon's clearly ahead right now since nobody else has anything.
Yeah. Well, Brandon has a...
Jack high flush now.
That's a pretty strong thing.
Has a chance at taking 175 down.
NW flush. Is Jersey working the system to get around the buy-in limit? Mason factor of 595. The seat changes have been known to incite humanitarian movements. All right. I will say of the Mason fact, that's probably the least interesting. Is that going to be enough to take it down? I don't see anybody else's hand.
Yeah, from what I've seen, I haven't seen anybody else with spades.
All right. Well, great job, Brandon.
Yeah, well played.
Bro.
Well played.
What's
going on, man?
Patrick has stopped by to say hello and give...
It's a drive-by.
Yeah.
Hey, guys. Hey, guys. You guys need anything? Waters, drinks?
Chilling, man.
I'll take a coffee.
Alcohol, hookers, got
thanks, man. I like it. When somebody comes in and asks, I know they're just being polite. I will...
Might as well take them up on it.
I will snap Coca-Cola. Assuming you either realize your driver is just confirm unless you're I think GPI ranks, but the GPI index ranks like tournament results. I don't know.
What's that?
Like every time you win a tournament or cash a tournament, you get GPI points or sometimes.
Right.
Even like the Aria dailies or something. It's really funny.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, how do they determine like where do we cut the line off? Like, what kind of tournaments? You know?
Yeah. Not really sure. I don't know. Apparently every poker tournament has a thing. There's some kind of formula, the buy-in, the field size, whatever.
I wonder if JFK knows that. JFK, if you're listening, answer that question.
Ask him for the hookers and gloves. You know, there's no drinking in the booth, but apparently
yes,
cocaine is okay. I mean,
Right.
Whether it was Jake's argument for the acid was that there's no rule against acid. There's only a rule against drinking. So.
Well, and I think if it's not on camera, then it didn't really happen, right?
Oh, true. That's a good point. I mean, there is a lot of space over here.
That's right.
I could just be punching someone right now. And you
we
wouldn't
just
even
don't know. Yeah.
Just like senselessly beating someone that's like huddled in the corner.
Just regular, right?
Oh yeah, black, please. Thanks. Nice.
He's talking about the hookers.
Yeah. Just regular hookers. What? I didn't even know what a regular hooker is. Yeah, I guess like.
I don't know, like I would think
just
maybe
not premiere or something.
Yeah.
Like a regular.
Not like penthouse style, just back of a car.
All right. I think that's the longest discussion I've had on stream about hookers. So.
True.
Great job. We're killing it tonight.
Just regular black coffee, sir. I didn't know if you needed like a double mocha frappa pump non-whip
Oh no,
something.
yeah, a half calf.
Yeah, I don't know how those all work.
Decaf.
That's why I stopped taking Starbucks orders
With the
for
twist.
friends.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Good news is
novel,
if you ever
that's
get
one drink.
if
Right?
you ever get Starbucks drinks for me, it's just black Americano.
That's it.
Easy.
I'm gonna share something very big with everybody. I don't want to.
Jersey just flops donuts.
There we go. I just subscribed.
Oh wow!
10 months in a row, guys.
10 months in a row. Is that the Twitch Prime sub or just the regular? Oh,
I just feel like giving money away.
sick.
I wonder if it's tax deductible.
I don't know. Probably. It's like a donation. I don't
Right.
know. I actually wonder, there's probably a lot of interesting tax situations that show up with streaming. You can buy additional GPI at Walmart. Ryan has a set on an all-spade board, which probably makes it way more likely Jersey's going to get paid.
Yeah.
You can't, like, I wonder, I suppose Jersey's going to raise. Looks like he's going to raise.
I just don't
betting
know
it's in the
about
nuts.
potting, though.
Yeah, like a player like Ryan, who might be. This might be one of the better hands Ryan has in this kind of spot.
Yeah. It's just always it's that fine line of going for it, but getting the call.
Yeah. Well, you also we know that he's got a set.
Yep.
But it's not impossible for him to have some kind of king of spades, jack of spades, king 10 of spades kind of combo in his hand. It's not impossible.
Right. It does make it less likely once the fourth spade
Right. Yeah.
hits.
Usually, you gotta feel A, you have the nuts. B, it's less likely that other guy has a flush. So I don't know. I mean, Ryan did bet 75, so Jersey picks up that money.
Right.
Uncontested. Back to
Just out west. Welcome to the stream.
Oldham. That seemed weird. I feel like maybe they changed when they changed the game now. Didn't they just switch to Hold'em from Omaha?
Yeah, I mean.
Maybe they are doing every 8 hands now instead of when the button passes the dealer.
Maybe.
Casino in Vegas got robbed. Yeah, the cash with the cash cage in the Bellagio poker room got robbed 2 days ago.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah,
That is scary.
I mean it's crazy. There's a ton of people in there betting there. It's just terrible. All right, Jersey
Makes us flush.
going nuts.
Top
a-
pair flush draw and gets there.
Reasonable enough thing. By not betting the turn, he's left himself in a weird place where this pot's not very big. If he raises here, it's not really getting called by anything.
Bet 20. I mean, I might make it like 60, 65. I just don't know how big. it
Yeah,
can
I don't
go.
know how you're ever going to get anybody to continue. It looks like he just min-clicked, basically, or close to. He makes it 55. Guess Mason says, all right, what do you got? What you got? And then, so, Jersey,
I think it'd be
good
it.
seat change so far?
Yeah.
Pretty reasonable seat change so
And
far.
I think that's kind of a good spot just to bet fold if I'm Mason. You know, because it's like, yes, you do want to go for some thin value, but it's just you don't really want to be calling there.
You're not beating a lot, like
with
a 10, with only a 10. What do you have? Ace 10? I guess you have the best 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, because...
And especially it's like, so is a minish raise, like really a bluff?
Maybe that's just the case where the price was so small that he just figured he'd call regardless. I don't know. Not a lot of times when you get raised on the river where you're going to be good.
Right.
Like if you lead into somebody and get raised.
Yeah, I mean, someone's min raising you, they're typically not trying to make you fold.
Alright. So Oz makes it 15, Ryan calls behind, Arthur calls on the cutoff.
Raise under the gun, flop a set.
Flops open-ended.
Easy game. Bet pot. Actually, I really like that bet sizing too, because this is a flop that's going to mesh well with callers behind you.
Behind range.
Yeah, and look at this. Then you get raised,
makes
which
it 150 with the gutter.
Right.
Arthur's got a. I mean, he could decide to put some pressure on or fold.
Yeah.
I think
it's a little more difficult with the 3-button,
yeah.
Or raise in front of him.
Yeah, well, he's definitely not going to flat behind. I don't think. Oh, okay. Never mind. I would say that it's
somewhat optimistic.
It's going to put him in an interesting spot.
Right.
Because his particular hand is probably not going to flat here ever.
Yeah.
And hope that he can just peel the turn.
Well, he has what, like 300, like 360 behind.
Yeah, like 4.
Yeah, so I think Ozzy just ships it here.
Arthur doesn't even have that much more.
Right.
I mean, he's got double that, like 800. So if you ship it here, Arthur's probably going to fold. Actually, everybody's going to fold. I don't see anybody continuing if he makes it 500. Ryan's aggressive enough where his... I don't think Ryan's going to continue. Like with Ryan short stack, if he's going to be like bluffing or semi-bluffing, he's going to be the one putting it in, not calling it off.
Right. And this is exactly why you don't want to call a 3-bet or a raise with action still open behind you from the original raiser from early position. Like it's just going to get, you're just enticing people to rip it on you.
What's that, clutch or kick? 15 feet of snow, huh? I'm surprised Arthur's thinking about this long. Maybe he thinks that this looks kind of bluffy, or maybe he just can't see past the fact that he does have an open-ended straight draw.
Yeah. He's just wondering if he has the odds.
Looks like he's gonna go for it. Now, I mean, he doesn't have that much behind. Now he's got a double gutter. Right, the 6 will give him the straight as well. So, I mean, if he was never folding before, for 400 more, he was never folding when the turn is somewhat favorable. I think that if you're going to find yourself in that spot, you kind of want to, if you're going to continue with that hand, then you 4-bet or don't do anything, right? Like 4-bet or fold.
Yeah, and it looks like he's done.
He probably doesn't feel great about the way, it's like, you put yourself in a position where you felt like you had to call once he 4-bet because you put your initial money in. Right. Sometimes when you try to defend your bet that you already put in.
Right. But it's good, once you start thinking on those lines of like, crap, I just kind of backed myself into a corner, it's totally fine just to go ahead and fold. Unless you're getting insane pot odds. Like just direct odds, like, okay, now I have to call, then, fine, you can call. Otherwise, don't let a mistake beget another mistake. You don't have to continue on, even though it feels gross that you just called a bunch of money and have to fold.
Yeah.
You still have, quite a bit behind. I mean, you still had, for almost 800 behind?
Yeah, 800. When he would have, if he folded to the 4-bet, calls, so he started with 1,000. Calls the bet. mean, it's definitely a situation where, like, when mistakes can compound on mistakes, and then you go broke, and you're just like, what happened? I don't even know like how that ended up happening.
Yeah. Now we got Veronica has made her way into the chat.
Oh, hello.
What up, V?
It's the role reversal from Masta C and Veronica.
Yep. Normally I'm at home drinking, and she's probably at home drinking. Or maybe she's getting ramen noodles. I don't know. She's always getting ramen.
Oh, man. That reminds me. I need to go get some. I was on a big ramen kick, but I have to go buy like a very specific kind of ramen that's really spicy.
Everybody's just hitting their flush draws. And then I think Sally's actually will likely peel here. I think if...
it's hard for her not to bet. She's got 2 pair.
Yeah,
it's almost like
with the flush draw too.
Yeah. There's a lot of times where she might have the best hand here. Ooh, now it'll be interesting to see if she tries to like bet fold here. She seems sort of tighter, so yeah, check fold. There's a chance she might call. I don't know. What is it?
I think she calls 180. I think for her she might like I think a lot of people have mental thresholds, especially more recreational players, like when it comes
Price
to sizing, yes. So I think for her a 200 might be a threshold marker for her. So I think, just trying to go just hair right under that, and you're going to get calls a lot more often.
It looks like it went for exactly 200. And this is like Sally, you're in this spot where you're like, you really like the flop, you don't hate the turn, and then the river doesn't really improve you at all, and you're facing a bet for 200. She says, all right. And yeah, she's not a fan. I don't think it's, yeah. I guess if she was gonna bet fold, she might bet somewhere around that amount anyway, so.
Yeah.
She probably didn't really like lose any extra money that she would have by not.
And I think Brandon let her off the hook on the turn. I think he can raise the turn there
and maybe get called in a lot of spots because Sarian's really good on the turn.
Yeah. So I mean, is she folding to 200 more? She bets 100, and
right, and
he
then
makes it to 3.
Yeah.
And then at that point, now the river, she might have to call.
So maybe there's an
300.
argument for not betting the turn, but you don't. I mean, you like your hand. A lot of people bet their draws like that.
Sure.
What's up? Yeah, a lot of people bet their draws like that. I think.
Yeah.
When you've got the nut flush.
Right.
And
you got 2 pair.
Trying to build a pot.
That turn card did bring in, quite a bit of action. So.
Yeah.
I don't think on the Girth and Brooks, if you're talking about the river sizing, I don't think she calls 400. So.
Right. So you're saying that idea is the amount. It's like she's not sure if she's good or not.
No, he's talking about river or turn raise. Okay.
Here we go. It looks like we gained a new player, FG. And he's got a decent hand here. But Ryan's the only one that really hits the flop. Oh, no, never mind. Oz has a set of 4s. He's going to lead into both players, $20, bets the pot. Ryan is likely going to peel with an open-ended for $20. Maybe he's thinking he doesn't really want to mess around. Maybe he doesn't like. I mean, I don't know anybody who's going to fold open-ended on a rainbow board.
Right.
It looks like he's going to raise. He looked somewhat disinterested at first, so I was like, wait, he's not going to like fold this hand on this board. Oz is never going to fold, obviously. 6 doesn't really do anything for either player, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good for either player as far as.
Oz feels great though about having like the 7 blocker when the 6 comes on the turn, but then now the river kind of sucks. I could see Oz check calling, maybe a pot size bet here. I guess that's a little less than pot.
And 135.
135 into 160. Maybe he folds. I mean, between the 6 and the jack, basically every straight combination gets there.
Right.
maybe you like that you check turn, and it lets you check call the flop and be good in spots against a guy like Ryan who might bet 8-9 or
right,
2 pair here.
But I mean, I also wondered like with how fast he checked back the turn. Clearly that's what I think got the call on the river. But I wonder if that discounts some of the like 2 pair. Like if he's not betting that 2 pair on the turn, or at least not even thinking about it, would that decrease the likelihood that he's going to bet it on the river at that point? When the jack comes in.
I don't know that that's a call. Like all the straights are getting there.
Right.
Like, you have bottom sets, so like maybe the worst hand he's betting there is like a better set.
Right.
It's or maybe not like, because what kind of 2 pair combo, like if he maybe like somehow has a combo like he doesn't have the queen, so he misses a straight draw, but he makes a pair and he bluffs it. It's, in that sense, and Ryan's fully capable of doing that.
But definitely, I think.
I mean, the difference too is Oz check called, not bet and called a raise. So if he had bet, he would have folded to
a raise.
So check calling allows you to see showdown for a little bit cheaper.
I mean, and bottom set's basically just bluff catcher at that point.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, yeah, it's tough. It's tough to fold a set, even in PLO, even if
especially when the front door flush misses. There was a flush on the flop, right? Or did it turn the flush draw?
It would have turned the flush draw. Yeah,
okay.
Because it would have put the.
Right.
It was a rainbow flop.
Okay.
All right, so here we have not a lot of anything. I guess Oz gets a pretty good flop again with the king high flush draw. Binks the flush draw on the turn. Ryan and once again. There's not really a world. Well, here Ryan flops 2 pairs, so you can see like.
Right. So the question here is, again, with how fast the turn checked through, I don't think checking here for Ozzy is a good idea.
Well, if you showed that you'll check call the set, Ryan is going to be less likely to bluff that river, I think, too. Like you just called him with a set. So maybe you try to get some value. Ryan's not going to call 2 pair on that board.
All right.
Maybe you're calling king queen on that board, given like maybe, but there's probably not a world where that happens.
And I don't mind Aussie's kind of large sizing on the river there also, because I feel it was a little bit of a polarized spot. Either he has the flush or he doesn't.
Right.
So.
And then maybe somebody could talk themselves into calling you with a king queen type hand. I would say those are some good tips in PLO, like general tips. Is have like some non-aces hands in your 3-betting range, and don't make a habit of calling the river with 2 pair.
Yeah.
On the power rankings,
especially on
things,
on a very coordinated board, it's just not going to go well.
My top couple cash pill in him. 165 or nothing. I like it. Yeah. We should turn those into some T-shirts. We need somebody making T-shirts of the chat. So the "I'm with Masta C" T-shirts, and maybe it has an arrow on it. I don't know, maybe it doesn't.
I'm just gonna I'm gonna wear it, but it's gonna just be an arrow facing up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for sure. He knows Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers. All right, cool. That also looks like it tracks. The UFC thing, and it looks like he's like friends. Okay, so we gained another player. I didn't see his name. With about 40 minutes left here, we have gained Casper and FG. They took the 5 and 6 seats. It's actually a bit more turnover than I've seen in typical games. 2 guys busted for fairly big stacks, so maybe that's maybe that's not a normal thing. But often I don't see very many players. I don't think I've ever seen 2 players leave with an hour, within 2 hours.
Yeah, I played on a 1-3 stream, and I think we had like 2 or 3 people leave. But that's more prevalent of the smaller games, because people are gonna just have like kind of the
these
one
guys
buy.
brought 2K or whatever,
Right.
and they expected to play for it all at some point. Twang one is made up as we speak. All right. Sally ending on +2. If everybody's limping, I guess you can limp fold this, but you're kind of very often throwing $5 away.
Yeah.
But I mean, you want to play a hand. This is a spot where you're never going to call this raise. So, I mean, if you think $5 is worth exploring a little bit.
Yeah. And I think she calls here, so I think it gets her in a spot where she's getting in a little bit of trouble. She needs to really have some like you said, very specific flops, and when you're doing that, you're just you're burning
looking
money.
for a very specific flop. Then sometimes you talk yourself into calling on a flop that's close to that flop, right? But maybe isn't great. Casper gets a really great flop for his hand to c-bet. I mean, you could c-bet this hand. You could probably check. If you knew more about Ryan, maybe you check call this hand and then bet the turn. Ryan appears to be unfazed. He really likes this 2 pair. This is the spot he was in before too.
And he's
going to push it, but Casper's never going to fold, so Ryan's probably going to go broke here.
He probably knows he's likely to either have overpairs or flush draws. So he just
happens to have both. Very specifically, both of those. Ryan's probably not loving it too much, but
and they're going to run it twice.
Yeah. So maybe Ryan gets his money back here. Needs a 9 or a deuce. Let's see. Yeah, really, or like running kings or something like that. So let's see. Jack's not going to do it.
Any boats?
Oh, and the deuce. Bam.
All right, chop chop.
So there you go. Chop it up. I find that people do that a lot in PLO. The aggressive pre-flop, or the aggressiveness on like a flop like that, is often 2 pair. Like the guy who has the flush draw might lead, but very rarely is the flush draw going to raise somebody who's like leading into him. Just because like there's so many turns that you love if you have those, if you're you don't love any spade, obviously you love, but maybe there's some other turns in that you like.
Well, and also I think just the nature of like the deeper you are, like there needs to be a little bit more caution and reserve to what you're doing. Especially like that board's going to change pretty drastically. There's going to be a lot of overcards to come, and
and then Ryan playing shorter stack the whole night puts him in a spot where he's like, this is one of the better flops.
Right.
I mean, flopping 2 pair is fine. It's not bad. It's certainly not terrible. You don't hate it. So I mean, obviously you didn't hate it. So.
Right.
I think Brian sometimes too or Ryan's thinking more in the sense of like almost like a bluff. Like he's bluffing with, the best current hand, right?
Right.
But he just happened to be up against a hand that's never going to fold on the flop.
Right. Girth Brooks says, seems like it might be a leak to always run it twice. I think there's a lot of debate about that, about whether you should always run it twice, never run it twice. And there's merits to both sides. Because equity wise, it's still the same. So like your money is the same, but the question is, will running it twice get you looser action, so you're actually getting more money, but there's also a lot of benefit for people to lose a pot and to go on tilt. Like the tilt factor for when people lose pots or get stacked is hugely important. So it's one of those things. It's like you try to get just some looser calls and kind of run an equity edge over a long time, or do you just try to get some guy that's just gonna, you know, go in for 5-6 more buy-ins?
Yeah, I actually saw something about this kind of thing specifically. It was talking about no limit hold'em, but obviously I think the general idea still applies. It's just like we were talking about the value of short buying, right? And maybe Ryan didn't short buy, but he's been short.
Right.
He's got in a spot where he can isolate or get isolated for a big pot. Sometimes maybe get some dead money in there, and that actually allowing him to run it twice is very favorable for him. That's a best case scenario for Ryan because it allows him to chop a fair bit of the time and keep his short stack, right? Whereas if you aren't running it once, Ryan would have already had to rebuy. And is he going to short buy or is he going to buy up to 1,000? You know, so you're putting him in a position where he can play the game he wants to play. So it's actually not ideal, according to, you know, to allow him to sort of survive, give him more ways of winning a hand. And that you're basically playing into that strategy by allowing it. I think most people just try to keep it friendly or whatever. Like whatever you're doing, you do.
Whatever you do, you do it. And then, like Girthbrooks, you know, that's one of the arguments I always hear people say is like, well, then people could play more aggressively against you. You know, but I mean, if you know that they're gonna.
Usually, like, you don't decide. Like, maybe people already know you're going to run it twice, so that allows them to play, like, I can play this way, assuming I know I'm going to get to see it twice.
But when people are playing more aggressively, they're often putting it in worse, you know, in worse spots. So that just kind of strengthens the money, you know, your equity edge on them over the long run. And just because someone's going to, you know, play more aggressively does not mean that you need to be folding more, you know, puts you in tough spots. It just means that they're putting it in worse more often.
I feel like the chat has been getting a little bit more like intellectual over the last like few months than maybe previously.
Yeah, I think it goes in waves and flows, you know.
I think when you get like a lineup like this too, like you don't really get sidetracked by something that's just like absolutely crazy or whatever, like or I don't know. I like it though. This is fun chat. Thanks, chat.
Garth, you just need to adjust to your opponents. You know, if they're going to be the kind of opponents to, you know, really put you to the test, just don't fold. Just, you know, or just stop running it multiple times against them if you think this is a problem. You don't have to always run it, you know, multiple times with them. You know, if you feel like they're, you know, taking advantage of you and you're not adjusting well to it, then just take that equation out of, you know.
Maybe think about it too. Like the guy who's encouraging everybody to run it twice might be the guy who wants to gamble a bit and take some more risks. And you might be you're allowing, you know, you're increasing action to a certain extent because you're allowing him to play a little bit more aggressively, but you are sort of killing action because nobody's making any money. You know, like our hands, actually, we've had a few chop pots, so the hands could have played out much differently, and the stacks could be very different. If, you know, obviously I wasn't keeping track, but there's a chance that we're going to get a lot different layout. Maybe we added a new player into the game, that kind of thing. So.
And I personally don't care about running it once or twice. You know, it's more for what my opponent wants to do. And then, you know, it's like everything. You just know how they're going to respond to certain situations, and you just make your decisions based on, you know, how they're likely to respond.
GRZ flops, you know, a wrap for a wheel. Not too bad. Check calls. The only issue really is that, like, he might not really get very many calls. Although, like, checks when he makes it. Casper's not going to bet again. You know, so you're not really going to make that much more money off of this hand. Now he'll probably bet like 100 and Casper will fold. So that's a shame. I almost like leading that flop. I mean, I don't really know. Like if you're trying to, sometimes I get stuck trying to tune in, how would you get value in this specific situation? Whereas if in general, check calling, leading on a 3, I don't know, check raising that flop, maybe looks like a set or something strange. It doesn't really look.
Well, that's the thing, like, you know, when you're actually in hand, you need to take a moment to, you know, think about what your actual hand plays against their range, then what your range plays against their range. And then also, like, what sizings do you want to do, you know, based on board texture, your range versus their range, you know, and then how your bet sizing gives you options or takes options away, you know, on future runouts.
Yeah, the other thing I was thinking about too is Casper really, in a sense, it confused him because he was betting with like complete air. I think the best thing he had was like a backdoor flush draw, like no.
Right.
Yeah, almost nothing happening for his hand. So it might have made GRZ think like maybe he's got enough of a piece of this where I can still, you know, I can check call, that kind of thing.
Yeah. You know, as it'd be interesting to see if Casper continues to bet like c-bet almost 100% when he has the betting lead. You know, because.
Okay. I mean, and there's not a bad turn. It's hard to not be balanced if you c-bet everything, right? Which is actually kind of why I sometimes think like, oh, it's real easy to be balanced if you always do the same thing in every situation, you know. But maybe that's not the best strategy either.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're just c-betting too much, you know, then it's just easy to, you know, raise you just unrelentlessly.
True. If you c-bet everything, people are going to pick up on it.
Right.
So unfortunate for GRZ, Mason hits a set. This could be an interesting hand to play out. Let's see. So you raise pre, you get called, check. He's going to bet. Mason's probably just going to flat.
Yeah.
I think you're going to flat a set here. There's not a...
Well, especially given his table image, he hasn't been very aggressive. So I think Spencer can make tight folds, you know, so I think it's a good spot for him to just flat. Yes, you can still get value from, you know, Jack 10, that kind of stuff. But if there was actually a suited, you know, like, you know, 2 spades or whatever, plus, you know, the straight draw, then I think, you know, you give more credence to actually raising because he's going to have a lot more outs, you know, against you.
That's having a nice, like, backdoor spade draw. It looks like he's thinking about it. I feel like you can't... You're not getting much action if you raise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing this looks like is 2-pair, which beats GRZ's aces.
Yeah.
He does have...
Well, and the other thing, you know, pre-flop is GRZ did 3-bet. You know, so, I mean, kings are in his range, too.
Yeah.
So it's like, so do you want to lose your whole stack, like, you know, in set over set fashion?
Yeah. I mean, in a sense, you're raising here, it does help you because I guess there are a lot of turns that you will get all in with. Any club, you're getting all in. You know, like a 10 or something, you're going to get all in probably.
Yeah.
Just because he still has outs to get the money that he's already put into the pot back. I don't know. That was, I mean, GRZ, that was pretty standard though. You c-bet that flop. Not only do you have aces, but you have ace-king, so you hit the flop. It's a rainbow board.
Yeah, I mean, I'm c-betting that all day.
It's just the raising, you're really putting yourself in a very thin spot. Like, what is the... Yeah, I guess maybe the worst hand you have is an open-ended straight draw, like, or a wrap for Broadway, like, which crushes, you know, not crushes, but makes it very difficult for aces to continue.
And we are back to Hold'em.
And the audience collectively boos. Boo, boo. Just kidding.
So we got, you know, Ryan open limping with the 4s. And then Casper right next door, you know, raises to 30. Let's see, how much does Ryan have? 500.
Whew.
And this is just going to be a check fold by Ryan.
Yeah, it's just a terrible flop for a 10.
I actually really like this check back on Casper. Because, I mean, you think about the type of hands that...
Somebody might limp with.
Yeah. You're either crushed if he has a 7. You know, unlikely he has too many 7s. You'd be more likely at pocket 7s, but now there's, you know, the 2 7s on the board. But so you're unlikely to get 3 streets of value.
The check back gets him...
Right. And when you raise, people are going to put you on ace-king, right? You know, so now you check back, they maybe discount it, maybe get, you know, turn and river.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably just going to call this bet. I don't see him raising here, but the check back got him a little bit extra value. If he bets the flop, Ryan probably folds.
Right.
And checking back actually gives him a spot where.
I think this is a pretty standard fold.
Yeah.
Or sorry,
Call.
fold. Yes,
Yeah,
call.
yeah.
Standard call.
Yeah, I was like, oh, standard fold. Wow. I'm way off.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh, this is like always a call.
Yeah.
Man, Ryan loves pairs. Yeah, I mean, it's probably a check back. You got to think too. It is very easy for us to sort of play in that range. Maybe Ryan thinks that he's potentially repping a weak ace or something like a 7. You know, because he could have like a 6-7.
Right.
Like you said, it's a pocket 7. So.
But I mean,
it's also a chance that Ryan is just, you know,
a little tilted.
Maybe a little tilted, maybe reaching a little bit, but.
But like I said, I really do like that check back, you know, on the flop. Like,
it certainly enabled a lot of things, you know, way more potential for the hand than before.
So I think they should still be on Hold'em. I think she was doing Omaha.
Yeah.
So should be a miss deal.
Ah, okay. I mean, in this case, just go nuts. Just play the hand Omaha. Why not? I think it was the time. Must not have been here, but we accidentally got dealt 5 cards, and it was like, okay, we'll play one hand of 5-card Omaha, just so we don't have to like miss deal. But I'm like, just one.
Yeah.
Not. I don't want this to be the gateway into.
And I wonder, you know, I know Ryan, you know, has some PLO experience, but I wonder like what his no limit hold'em cash game experience is. Like, does he normally play like, you know, tournaments? You know, a lot of tournaments.
I think he's a tournament no limit guy. I don't know how much cash he plays.
Because I have noticed a difference between people who are primarily tournament based no limit players versus cash game based players. Is they really value pocket pairs more highly and overplay them, you know, just because of the dynamics of tournaments is, you know, it's so much value in taking pots down pre-flop and not playing post-flop, you know, because most of your stage of your tournament, you're in short stack. So it's like people take that kind of strategy and preference over to the cash game where it really doesn't, you know, apply very well and end up kind of overplaying, you know, really marginal hands.
Brandon kind of bluffs the button a little bit. I don't think he'll bluff twice. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean,
but see,
it
this
seems
is
kind of like a weak move.
Yeah.
15 into 65. Sounds always going to.
Well, additionally, it's also a bad spot for him to bluff because it is a polarized spot where, you know, the front door flush draw missed, so you're going to get looked up a lot more likely. So when you're making your decision to bluff in those spots, you want to size up quite a bit because if it's going to be a polarized spot, you know, you're going to want to knock out some of the lighter hands that are going to call you.
I think that also Oz is check calling a ton of hands. Yep. So betting, especially if you're going to bet 15, is like almost not even really a bet.
And
like he was going to call, he would have probably called 50. Like,
right. Brandon's shown that he's, you know, been quite aggressive also when check to him. So, you know, it's like you're just kind of checking for, you know, thin value at that point.
Can we go into OT, riot for OT? I don't think that is an option, but we will be back Monday, I think is the next stream. And my guess is it's a 5-5 no limit game, but I know a couple things were changing scheduling wise. So I don't know, we'll leave that up to Stones. Let's see, Monday, December 4th, 5-5 no limit hold'em. No limit hold'em. Alright, aces here for Oz.
That's actually kind of a scary flop for aces. You know, you think, you know, Aussie just flats. You know, if you got the aces, it's not a lot of ace kings out there, but, you know, like king queen's going to be raising for sure.
Yeah, GRZ just raised pre-called behind, bet call, check bet.
I definitely think, you know, you got to bet the turn when it comes to you.
Flatting behind with a really big hand And this is a perfect river for whatever story Ozzy's going to try to tell, because you bet 200 here, it looks like you have the same hand, like it's your chopper.
Right, so he's thinking, you know, like, well, Ozzy doesn't have the kings.
Yeah, he doesn't have ace-king because he flatted behind. He doesn't have ace-queen because he flatted behind.
What I want to know now, since he decided to float the turn, is he going to, you know, turn his hand into a bluff here?
He might be more likely to do it, but maybe it's like Oz is thinking that he's thinking that way, so he bets small to induce the raise.
People don't check raise bluff the rivers very often.
Right. We were talking about that earlier. Right. There's not a lot of times when you're raising the river and you're
especially to check raise bluff it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's something that, you know, just your opportunity doesn't come around very much.
And he's more likely to have the king than Oz is at this point. Oh, I think we have Ryan's hopping in for the last 30 minutes.
What's going on, man? Here.
Come on, man. You can go. I think
squeeze in between. Squeeze in the middle.
Yeah. Go nuts. I think Ryan Leonis.
What's going on?
Oh, it's great to have you in the booth.
Yeah, pretty much trashing your play all night. Kind of like Girth Brooks is like Ryan's is a total fish.
We'll get in play with each other.
Yeah. I definitely played some questionable PLO today.
What's interesting with you know, short stack strategy is like once you finally decide to go and see post flop, you know, a lot of times you're going to have, you know, pretty good equity advantage over, you know, the kind of the garbage what people are bringing in. So it does provide you a lot of opportunities to kind of shove, and you're really forcing them into a bad spot.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my strategy. Is I knew everyone was going to probably be deep, and I knew that if I bought in deep, that I'd probably get less action than if I bought in short.
Right.
And so I don't know. Equity-wise, yeah, and then the fact that just about everyone at the table was willing to run it twice.
Right.
So being short and being able to just go with draws, knowing I can run it twice, is pretty much going to break even at least.
Yep. Yeah, and we actually had a pretty good discussion with, you know, the chat and ourselves just about, you know, just generally, you know, the benefits of running it multi-times versus not, you know, like the action you'll get versus the action you won't get, you know. I gotta think, especially being short stack, you know, that's kind of another layer to it that we actually didn't really discuss is, you know, do you get lighter calls, you know, and maybe bring a little bit more variance, even though the running it twice kind of helps reduce the variance, you know, just like, because they're like, ah, screw it, $300, you know, split in half. I'm okay doing that, as opposed to maybe you get more fold outs, you know, if you don't run it twice.
That I would get more fold outs?
Yeah, no, if you didn't run it twice.
Yeah. I think each time that I was running, I think I was the one that was called to run it twice.
It plays to your advantage. That's how I was reading something where that, like we said, we talked about that specifically, that allowing the short stack to run it twice is actually playing towards their favor.
Well, yeah,
because they're getting so much for so little, and you're giving up, you know, your ability to bust them. Right?
Yeah.
Or you're not changing the circumstance, because if you double, then you have to play deeper, and if you bust, then you either have to buy in or you're gone.
Yeah, exactly. So that was one thing, and there's so many flips in PLO and stuff like that. So I personally didn't want to come with a huge stack and then maybe not have the opportunity to rebuy it. So I was looking at just buying short, maybe fire 3 bullets, and then just try to run it up from a smaller stack because I knew I'd be getting action.
So, and what is your history in the game? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, as far as PLO, I have hardly any experience live.
Okay.
I play a lot online. Mostly, it's funny. I think I've played more 5-card PLO than I have 4-card PLO. Yeah. So. Been playing probably about 5-6 years online.
And mostly cash?
Yeah,
tournaments?
Well, mostly tournaments. As far as PLO, pretty much not PLO. A little bit, but mostly focusing on like MTTs, PLO-8, MTTs, and cash-wise, like 5-card PLO-HI. And
you're gonna squeeze the fours? Yeah.
PLO-HI.
Cool.
Yeah, this was a fun hand.
Yeah.
I just got so short that I was just like
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, what was there's already like a.
I mean,
There's
hijack.
like
Yeah,
already
it was
like
like 20 and a
60 or
call,
80,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 60 or to 80 bucks in a pot already.
Well, I mean, honestly, you should be taking that down quite often too. You know, so.
Yeah, especially
Well, especially
like,
I feel like
he's
I'm in-
like flatting ace jack, which is actually stronger than you might think he has at that point anyway.
true. I mean,
But if he's flatting, he's probably always folding to ace jack.
Especially with your stack, I'm fine picking up the $40. It's no problem.
yeah, no, definitely. You know, anytime I can add 10% to my stack, you know, especially short, I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
So that's funny because like you pretty much sat on 300 all night.
Yeah.
Right? Like didn't really lose anything, didn't really make anything.
and-
But
At
you
one point, you got to like 8 or so.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I was like 750,
Doubled
somewhere around
once,
there.
be on the rail playing this stream tomorrow. Oh, Wapri is going to be on Live at the Bike tomorrow.
Nice, man. Good luck
So if
over
you're
there.
missing us, go check out Wapri on Live at the Bike tomorrow. What time is that?
Same time, 7 p.m.
7 p.m. All
So-
right. Fantastic.
How did you find, you know, like mentally and kind of adjusting to the two different games, you know, like having your 8 hands of PLO and then adjusting back to No Limit? Did you find like maybe you know, had any difficulties changing or like?
So, probably would help if I would have said, because we just met, so you don't know much about my background, but I play a lot of mixed games.
Oh, okay.
So I play a lot of 8-game, 12-game online. So pretty used to switching games.
Okay.
Played a lot of horse. So,
Yeah, 'cause we were wondering if like some of the people that maybe don't play, you know, the multivariances very much, if you know, because in PLO it's like everybody wants to see the hands, you know, there's much more, you know, kind of crowd participation, and then you know, Hold'em is much more everybody's kind of folding out. You know, we definitely saw some light limps on those first or second hands, you know, back into the No Limit. So it's just kind of always interesting to, you know, see how people adjust between the two games.
yeah, it definitely seemed like the No Limit Hold'em section, as soon as we got there, played incredibly nitty for a 5-5 No Limit game.
Right.
Like extremely nitty.
Well, this is actually, in terms of the lineup, usually we like, I think this lineup wasn't very, not necessarily nitty, but everybody's like,
You get a lot of very competent players on the table. When
solid.
usually if you get just a standard 5-5 game, you'll have kind of like an equal mix, you know, competent, but, you know, some, you know,
and just like a
flashy
hyper
players
aggro,
and-
like
yeah.
we don't really have. I mean, you're not like, you were maybe the most aggressive person at the table all night, and it wasn't like you were crazy aggressive.
No, I mean, and it was funny. Is I wasn't even getting really that good of hands. So
Right.
it was like the aggressive lines that I was taking was, for the most part, bluffs. But
Right.
except for the one double up, which you know I apparently was getting crushed.
Yeah, the queen on the river. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I was. Yeah, it was just that was a really fantastic flop for his hand. And it's just
Yeah.
like, sometimes that happens.
Yeah, no, I mean,
So what happens when you play short and you put yourself in a spot where
Yeah,
you
you
have to
see
get it
all
all in
cards.
on the flop? Yeah.
exactly.
Sometimes you get lucky and double.
Did you
sometimes
call for one time during that time?
What?
Did you call one? At what point in the night did you ask for a setup or like a big wash?
Neither.
None-
None of the
none
times.
of that?
I think
Okay,
the
no
only
watch.
action was C2 over there. Kept showing that it seemed like every 3 hands he had a bent card.
Oh right, yeah, we saw that change the deck a
Yeah.
couple times. Those cards are thick too. I wonder.
Yeah. Well,
They can't be very easy to bend.
About trying to
that's
look
it.
at 4 cards at once.
yeah.
Are these them?
Yep. The dude is just the
Oh,
Joker
wow.
is taking out the deck.
Oh. I guess they're lighter than I thought they would be. I assumed they'd just be like bricks. Like
Maybe he plays a lot of Baccarat and he's used to, you know, bending up the cards.
these,
and-
yeah, those look like they could crack pretty easy if you.
Yeah, I
mess
mean,
with
the
them, too.
decks
they're-
are over $100 a deck.
They're getting like bent here in the middle, and it's like if the pattern was all the same, then you wouldn't be able to tell what it was. But
Oh, set versus top pair from the 2 newer players at the table. Looks like Casper makes it 25, FG 75, Casper calls. And then check calls 118? Or
So-
no, it doesn't look like he's calling.
So 115 and 150.
And he raises. I guess this raise could look like a flush draw, but yeah. I mean, at least on this board, there's potential for him to have something other than a set that he would raise with. Whereas, like on previous boards, when it's just rainbow.
Wow, pretty quick call too.
He does have the backdoor spade. Now he's got the back, like the straight draw, the gutter, I guess. Maybe he's thinking.
So you got about 800.
I'd like to see
so
a big
choked
bet
up over
from
this.
Casper's. Like,
Yeah, well,
make
I mean,
it like
about
500. Oh wow, I like it. Yeah, pot size shove or like a little bit less than a pot size shove.
Yeah, that's the other thing is like, you know, how do you break up your stack at that point if you're not going to shove? You have to get it in over T streets.
No, I like it. I actually think that maybe that makes the raise. His raising is so that he can shove a pot size shove on the turn.
But,
and then it could look very, it could look ace kingy.
But this should also play well into like, the cards are going to be playing with the jacks. There's going to be a lot of jack queens. He's going to have a lot of pair of straight draws. You know, if he does have the suited jack, to the spades, there's going to be a lot of hands that ideally can continue on.
Well,
it is
FG
a little
thinking
bit of
like
a
it's not a set of jacks.
bet.
I'm blocking jacks. He probably doesn't flat behind with jacks, or flat the pre-flop with jacks. So eights is a possibility. I mean, ace jack maybe is in there if you only have jack 9. But I think Casper raising might have made it seem more drawy than anything else. I don't know, what do you think?
I don't know. I just, for one, I would have been out with Jack 9.
Yeah, I think folding the flop. Folding the flop keeps you from ever having to make this decision.
Yeah. Also, I don't think that I would have check raised 8, so
Yeah.
I think I might have flatted 1 and peeled the turn.
Yeah.
I think that the only reason that FG is still considering this is because he did check raise, right? Maybe he's thinking like, "Whoa, would he really do that with the set, or just flat behind?"
I mean, the things that he could do it with is like 9-10, and
Right.
so I mean,
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, like the hands that would do it are going to be like suited cards that are now even a better pair. A lot of queen, of spades would be in
For sure.
that
Like the
check
queen
raise
is a
range.
card that makes it even easier for him to fold the turns.
And the other thing is, because that I just think his, ship is just a little too big to get called.
Mm-hmm.
If you really want to get called, I think, breaking it up over 2 streets, you can
Or
still
you
get
bet
your
like
stack.
300 and you
Right.
know you're
And
never
then-
folding.
right.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you know you're never folding your set, but you try to bet maybe small.
I think it was a little bit of a overshove on the turn,
But he got some money there with the 3-bet on the flop. Picks up an extra like 250.
Hitman says Casper looks like Shakespeare.
Like Shakespeare or like another person? Oh, I guess yeah. All right, Ryan with jacks. Yeah, I wonder what is Ryan gonna do.
Jack single suited.
Not fantastic.
What do you think about limping here with the thought that it's likely going to get raised behind you and then just repot to get it in? Do you think jacks are a little bit thin to do that?
I think if it doesn't have the 3 of diamonds.
At this point, I mean, I think raise and then stacking off. It's, I don't know. I think leading and then folding to a raise is better than just limping. And then,
Limping.
Like I think I could right here. I was willing to fold if it got re-raised. So just an extra way to be able to get away from the hand.
Okay.
Because I know Jack 10-30 isn't all that great.
Right.
If it was like Jack 10 Queen, then maybe 3-bet like raise rip or.
Not a bad turn to work for you.
That was pretty good.
Great turn. All right, guys, we got about 7 minutes left. I personally think Masta C is killing it up in the booth.
I
It's fun.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Hey, we
Great.
all know that I'm not like a genius when it comes to Hold'em. So anybody who's spitting like real strategy advice for Hold'em is a welcome addition to the team, I think. Got 7 minutes left. How do you feel? You like it? Good time?
Yeah, it's been great. You know, I like being in here. I like talking nonstop, so works for me.
I'll be interested to rewatch the stream and hear you talk about Hold'em.
Absolutely. So where do you normally play at the most? Well, you said online, but
Yeah, so it's funny. I live like halfway between Lucky Chances and Bay 101.
Okay.
But I don't ever play there. So I'm usually up here, Thunder Valley. Go to Reno and Vegas. I'm at every runner-up. So
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, just basically all the local tour stops when they come through.
Right.
Turlock, Thunder Valley, Reno.
And I mean, I always say it's like so much great value in these tournaments out here. You know, you'll have a $300 buy-in, tournament that has like 30K to first.
Yeah.
You know, it's everybody could play a $300 buy-in.
Yeah, it's great, and especially like it when you guys run series and Thunder Valley has series, and some of the other casinos are not too far away, and for me coming from the Bay Area, if I'm gonna come up here and play, I'd love to be able to like stay the night and be able to play a couple events,
Right.
And the fact that sometimes there's 2-3 events in a day, it makes it a whole lot easier to be able to get more games in and more hands in.
Masta C did an awesome job. I mean, it was fun to watch.
Trade 2 pair for
Horrible
2
river.
pair.
Wow. I actually would like to see Sally. If I'm Sally, I think I bet that flop. Got a gutter, flush draw, kings.
Yeah,
I
kings.
think betting that flop is pretty good. You might. I mean, maybe. I don't know how much.
And we have been
often,
talking. She had been a little more reserved on everything.
I mean, she's gonna book a win.
Right.
And it's getting towards the end of the stream, so maybe she's not really thinking. But I think, like, in PLO, that hand, King 6-5, you're raising pre, you're getting called by 2 people. It's a perfectly reasonable flop to c-bet.
Yeah, like what is she hoping to flop? Like the nut straight or a set of
Right.
kings? I mean, that's
That's a
pretty
good
much
flop.
that's a good
You
flop.
overpair with a gutter and a flush draw.
Yeah.
And it's easy to stop betting, too. Like, any resistance you encounter, you can always check behind later, because anybody with a big hand is going to check to you again, and you can check behind and see the river for free. Yeah, it's been really great. We still have a couple more hands here. I wonder if anything exciting is going to happen. No spoilers.
No spoilers, but someone's gonna get some more chips. That's for sure.
Always.
FG's got a unique hand. It's one of those hands that looks great, and then you limp, and then you kind of just like hate it. I know it's not a bad hand, but I think typically this becomes a habit of a lot of people in PLO, is limping
Right.
so many hands from early position, and then calling, and then getting a flop that's like close to where you want it to be.
So tell me about your thought process here.
I'm just so short. So I'm just gonna get it in now since he raised $30. He was willing to call me. I feel like kind of light. I don't know what his hand was on the river when I made a boat, I think.
Your shove is, or your raise is, his hand's not bad, like, to call in position, but
Yeah,
you're so
it's
short
suited.
that he has to decide whether he wants to just rip it or just call. I guess he's just gonna call, man.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that. Maybe he figured that I'm getting it in no matter what, and he's got position on me. So if he hits the flop,
And then you just miss the flop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually not a bad idea on his part, because he can
Well, you
decide.
can
He
call
saves
fold,
himself
yeah.
the almost 200.
Yeah.
And he can still know that he'll still get it on the flop, like you're saying, and probably still run it twice. So not a bad idea. It's like he still has the ability to win the maximum, but doesn't have to lose the maximum.
Yeah.
Looks like Sally books the win. Oz actually got all the money back. I'm pretty sure that he lost early on to Sally, because he's up to like 3.4K.
He might be about even then.
Yeah, no, he's even. But I mean,
Right.
when you lose like $1,000
Right.
and then you end up even, like that's not a bad,
Yeah, you're
not a
okay
bad
with
day.
that.
Grind
Yeah.
it up. And if you consider that one hand was kind of a cooler, right? Set of sets for sure.
And especially when you don't have to do it like in like 16-hour like marathon session.
Right,
break
yeah,
even.
3 hours,
Right.
and then you just like, okay, I'm over it. Like, maybe I booked a small win. I think he probably is even. And then Sally still walks away with an extra like 500 at least. I don't know. I doubt. I mean, Sally doesn't strike me as the kind of person that's going to buy him for 1,000.
Yeah, I'm not
She did buy in.
Oh,
for
okay,
1,000,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So she still booked a 500 win.
I booked a small one.
Yay!
Nice.
Small.
Great job.
Small $50 win.
Oh, right. That's
It's always better to be on that side.
Nice, like a dinner and a beer or something like that.
That's gas.
It's good. So.
Oh, that is true. That's gas. For
Good
sure.
gas, and I'll be donating 20% of my end of the night table stakes to Red's charity. So they're going to be getting
So, congrats, Reg, on the
$70.
You want to talk about that charity a little bit?
It's good. You know, they raise money for effective giving. So basically, you know, you can choose of their charities and the causes that you want to donate based off of their charities, or just donate to the company and they'll allocate it the way that they seem most needing it. And it's really good. You're seeing a lot of poker players, you know, getting behind it as well. Co-founded by Livery, so definitely for a good cause.
All right, I think this is the last hand, and GRZ had a big, not a big draw, but a draw and miss, and I don't think it's gonna be much action. Pretty much, well, $200 pot for the final pot. It's not bad. Some
Yeah.
60
Did Casper
bucks.
even
It was raised pre.
bet on the river?
Casper called. I think it was check.
So maybe just hoping
really
he could
like-
take, you know, he would bluff at it.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. He did act first. So, yeah,
All right.
that's been the mixed game. Thanks, Masta C, for
Hey,
showing
it was
up.
a great game.
It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you guys.
Thanks,
No problem.
Ryan, for
Absolutely.
playing. Thanks, chat, for hanging out. Good luck.
Great
Waprai,
game.
tune in to watch Waprai play live at the bike tomorrow. And we'll be back Monday with 5-5 No Limit Hold'em.
And I'll be back in a couple weeks for PLO-HI.
Boom!
Nice.
PLO-H.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game, too.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
I think
All kinds of
there's
stuff
a
coming
limited
out.
people that play that well. So I think you should have a
Ryan's
good run.
not one of them. Just
Oh,
no.
you might not know. Grab a salad. You get some
the
good
salad run
live
for
stream
sure, yeah.
run good. It's a little secret, but
Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. It's been
All right.
great, and see you guys next time.
good night, everybody.